of the show. I do and I don't. I don't like that it takes up so much room, I should say. It's a long title. But it works, I guess. So let's keep rolling with it. Yesterday, I meant to talk about submarines, or talk about Hollywood, and because you can't really talk about Hollywood without talking about Jews, the Jew conversation came up and pretty much dominated the whole thing. Ended up getting 13,000 fucking views on accidentally. You know, I didn't even talk about the thing I meant to talk about. I started doing it yesterday, but by the time I started, my feed that had 300 some viewers on it had been whittled down to 12, which, you know, makes sense. And I really wanted I wanted the information to be the forefront, to be the focus of the video, the investigation to be where the focus was. So I guess it was a pretty good part one, because it did talk about a lot of the backbone kind of stuff. But now we're going to go into the actual history of Hollywood. And I mean, it's a difficult thing to do. But trying to look into the history of something, especially something as big as Hollywood, will end up having all of these different like side roads, these different side quests, and you find yourself, oh shit, I thought this was about to be an accident. You find yourself either going down a whole bunch of rabbit holes and finding it hard to almost stick with the one topic, or you just go where it takes you. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do. Is I'm going to try to go where it takes me while still sticking to the narrative at hand. I don't know, it's difficult. It's a difficult thing to do. You know, that one of their sort of their tricks, their ploys, whatever you want, they fill us with information. There's so much information that nobody can possibly know it all. And like, they were doing this a lot 2008 during the Trump presidency. They'll do this again during this presidency, where they just hit us with rapid fire stories and rapid fire, you know, tragedies. Even the rapid fire tragedies that you know, as soon as one starts getting investigated, another one happens, and then another one happens, and you get this crazy scenario like they did last time. Look at this, 23-2. All right, nice. Like, share, sub, guys. If you're watching, like, share, and sub. You need to help the guy talking about these things, because you know they don't want me getting out there. So I really hope that like if you're looking for truth or light, if you're looking for the guy that's trying to make friends and doesn't want to say things because he's worrying about hurting people's feelings and, you know, blah blah, go find any other person. There are so many people out there that won't talk about the Jews. I'm going to talk about the Jews. So unless you're comfortable with that kind of conversation, this might not be the place for you. You know, there might be just a little too much truth here. So, the first comment was already redacted or retracted. Interesting how that works, huh? Why would you type something, hit enter, if you don't want that thing to be read? Like, that's fucking stupid. But hey, whatever. I absolutely encourage people to join the discourse. What's up, dude? Absolutely encourage people to tell me what I'm wrong about, to engage as much as you can. I will do my best to read the comments, though that gets to be kind of difficult once we start getting into the hundreds of viewers. and more so the endless stream of trolls. The troll stream really does make things difficult sometimes. So it looks like there was several people that heeded my warning. This guy's going to talk about youth? Well, I don't want to hear about that. So. All right, so we're going to go into the Hollywood conversation now that I have my armaments. Now that I have the weaponry playing already. All right. So what I did, this is the latest accepted revision, reviewed on November 13th, 2024. So somebody has changed this information since November 20th or November 13th, sorry. So I guess we'll just restart from the beginning because I didn't get too far into it yesterday before I decided to stop. But we're going to start with Hollywood. It says Hollywood, sometimes called Tinseltown, is a neighborhood and district in the central region of Los Angeles County, California, mostly within the city of Los Angeles. Its name has come to be a shorthand reference for the U.S. film industry and the people associated with it. Most notably, film studios such as Sony Pictures, Walt Disney Studios, Paramount Pictures, Warner Brothers, and Universal Pictures are located in or near Hollywood. Now, when doing these types of things, you know, I end up clicking on the blue stuff all the time because it's like these are the clues, and they want you to read, like U.S. film industry is its own entry, and that's an interesting one, and I almost want to go there, but that's something I think I'll do later, along with the going into each Sony Pictures, Walt Disney Studios, Paramount Pictures, Warner Brothers, and the history of each one of those studios. It's all interesting. And if you're not, again, if you're not like a dork like me, then it's not gonna be. Look at map of Hollywood, Los Angeles. Isn't that a crazy? I love that perfect square almost. But Hollywood was incorporated as a municipality in 1903. The northern and eastern parts of the neighborhood were consolidated with the city of Los Angeles in 1910. Soon thereafter, a prominent film industry, it just emerged. Developed first on the East Coast, eventually it became the most recognizable in the world. And that's another part. You have to understand that there are two Hollywoods. There's East Coast and West Coast Hollywood. East Coast Hollywood isn't talked about nearly as much. It used to be huge. All those shows, those Taxi and Cheers and Mary Tyler Moore and George Burns and like Make Room for Daddy and all that goofy shit. That was all filmed on the East Coast. And if you pay attention, you see like it's crazy to me that it was all so successful. It's either, I mean, when you look at the way prices and all that shit work, I mean, if you really think about it, your grandfather was able to buy a house, have cars, put kids through college, and he probably made, what you make in a year in 10 years. Yet he was able to do all these things back then because things were so much different back then. Money was so much more valuable back then. And you think about like the whole narrative that used to be given. Like how many shows were about the interactions between the rich the family and the help? They had a sassy butler or a sassy, like share sub. They had a sassy butler, a sassy maid, Hazel, the show Hazel. I love that show. The show is awful. The show is terrible. But the concept that you have a Jewish woman is the maid for the rich WASP family. Like, that's just hilarious to me. Not going to happen. But let's keep going. So H.J. Whitley a real estate developer arranged to buy the 480-acre E.C. Hurd Ranch. Whitley shared his plans for the new town with General Harrison Gray Otis, publisher of the Los Angeles Times, and Ivar Weed, a prominent businessman in the area. What do you mean submarines aren't real? What do you think I mean? I mean, let me actually, you're right, that could be misleading. I mean, the submarines that can swim down in the water like dolphins, like Hunt for Red October, and the big black tubes, I don't think those are real. I think they have boats that can go just under the water, but I don't think they have submarines. And if you'd like to see why and how, so what again, this is the narrative we get to believe, that the first person to comment actually retracted their comment. But the second person to comment, within 11 minutes, he's already here going, well, where do I work? The person that happens to work on submarines is on my feed within 10 minutes. Yet let me start talking about Israel. Let me start talking about Christianity. Let me start talking about any other thing, and nobody ever shows up. But every single time I'm talking about submarines, there's always somebody who goes, what do you mean? I work on, I live on, my family was raised, my kids were born on a submarine, dude. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? My wife gave birth to a submarine that had my child in it. What do you mean? You got to go look. The submarines aren't real. I've given you lots and lots of videos about it. There's a 9-part series on it. So unless you want to stick with this topic today, I think submarines aren't real are just now the title of the video series, I guess. I don't know. Seems to work. So, yep, meth. Gotta love, yay, meth man. Yep, these meth blunts. Gotta love meth blunts. So the stupid people are immediately going to come in and be like, I can't answer for anything you say, but I really want attention, so I'm going to say stupid things.
Can you smoke meth in a blunt?
I would assume you could probably break it down into the powder form and lace your blunt with, but you'd have to lace your blunt.
How do you normally smoke it? With a torch thingy, like crack?
Yeah, it's a crack thing. I assume, or you could do the foil thing, I think. I don't know. Not my
nope.
My thing.
Nothing about it was even ever sounded attractive.
I work in Fowles Lane Naval Base in Scotland. Well, the one thing I know is anytime a military person tells me something, I don't believe it. Right? Like, why people believe military people I never understand that. The military is more important than telling strangers truth. They will say what they're supposed to say. It's one of the UK's premium naval submarine bases. So, one of the UK's premium naval submarine bases has a guy that works there, and he's on my feed 10 minutes in. Amazing how that works. Where can you on the feed? Just go back to go to my feed, click my name or whatever, and you'll see submarines aren't real. Start with part 1. Start with whatever you want. There's lots and lots of information provided. Hey, I worked at translating, contracting of subs. So wait. Now we have 2 people who work at the same place. 2 people that work at the same place are here commenting. Amazing how that works. I'm not that guy. Cool, go find it. Go figure it out. Smoke less and cut the shit with these senseless conspiracy theories, says fake Toby Maguire. I'm not disputing your claims, mate. Well, no one does. No one disputes my claims. What happens is there's a lot of dumb people that come on here and say stupid shit like smoke less and stop with the crazy conspiracy theories. Basically, listen to the government. Do what I do. I follow the rules. You follow the rules. And for some reason, me asking questions really bothers people. Those that it doesn't bother should like, share, and sub. All of you should like, share, and sub. So the people that died in the sub looking at the Titanic was fake. Why wouldn't it be? I just want to know what the title means. It means submarines aren't real. Shit, he's on to us. Part-time genius. Go to Plan Alpha 1. Get his Social Security contracts. He said. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm 15 minutes in, and 2 people from a naval base in Scotland are on my feed. Yeah, nothing to see there. Don't worry about that. Well, that's normal. Like, share, sub. Anyway, it's interesting how the EC Herd Ranch isn't blue. I can't look that one up. What do we say this one was? Dadia Wilcox, who donated land to help. Yeah, just coincidence. Sure it is. To help in the development of Hollywood. So this chick, Dadia, I'm assuming it's a chick. Dadia just was like, hey, you want to develop Hollywood? This unproven medium? Here's some land. I got lots of it. Hector at the asset in the area to deal with it. Yeah. I mean, does anybody think that's like that's effective? Like, instead of just debunking what I'm saying, you're gonna play into it. The thing about me is, like, it would be weird if people would ask me questions and I wouldn't answer the questions. I'd start talking about other shit. And that's usually what happens. Like, if you have an issue, either address the thing that's being said or leave. But what is the purpose of being the example of the troll doofus I'm always talking about? I'm assuming well, I would have spelled it right. If you're quoting me, I would have put YOU''RE, but you want to put YOUR a chick, that's on you, buddy. So by fake, you mean it's not what it's said to be. Basically a submersible boat. Yes, 100%. 100%. I'm not trying to debunk, I'm just asking. You know what? I appreciate that. And your content, you should. I mean, whatever question you have, ask yourself how they make oxygen. Oh, you know what I was looking at the other day? Yes, I saw something either today or yesterday. So the idea of hydrogen is extremely flammable on its own. So now we're saying we distill the salt water into fresh water to get the salts and stuff out. Then they run an electrical current through the water, which makes the oxygen bubble out of it. And now they're left with liquid hydrogen that they, I guess, just dump into the water or something. Like, that makes sense. How they breathe in submarines is one of the bigger nonsenses. But I think the best thing, you ever see submarine videos and wonder what, like, something about it doesn't make sense, right? You ever notice that? When you're looking at the submarine videos, that something in your head just seems off? And you don't really say it, you don't really talk about it, nobody talks, but everybody thinks it when they're looking. You know what it is? It's the lack of movement. Whenever you see submarine videos, you see these submarines that are supposedly moving throughout, going up and down, traversing the waterways, and the people inside are acting like they're on land. They don't stumble, they don't move, there's nothing. Literally nothing. They can literally crash through ice that's 4, 5, 9 feet thick, and they don't move even a little bit. That's the thing that your mind is telling you what's wrong. You see something wrong. You're just not knowing how to put it into words. But that's what it is. That's why submarine videos look weird to people. By the way, if you're watching, like, share, sub. I've been watching the weeks. You don't listen to anybody. Well, none of you are speaking in a way that I can hear. And what do you mean? I should just listen to who? random people that aren't making any points. If you make a point that I can't debunk, it doesn't matter whether I like it or I don't. If I read your point and I don't have a response to it, that's pretty obvious, isn't it? But you can't seem to wrap your head around that part. You've been watching for weeks and you can't wrap your head around it. You've been watching for weeks. That's, of all the things you could say, you could come in and be like, dude, you are wrong about this. 100%, this is wrong because of this. You could type that. But instead, of course, you just come in to tell me how I'm wrong. I just haven't heard that the fakes. Right, nobody has. I'm the first person I know to talk about it. And if you go look it up, you're not going to find anybody else's research into it. But would you at least, at the very least, say that I did a pretty thorough amount of research into submarines? And that I looked at everything I could possibly look at that was, initially available to me.
Yes.
Did I do anything nefarious? Did I avoid anything? Did I,
No.
was there something that debunked me and I'm just purposefully avoiding it or something? Did anything that I looked at over these 9 days and well over 24 hours worth of research, did anything prove to you that subs exist?
No.
I mean, that's pretty incredible.
You have to be careful making that statement because you believe they exist, but not as they tell us.
Right, and I'm not going to keep repeating that over and over and over again.
You need to, especially for those that are just coming in.
Right, but I've already said it multiple times here. You were just in the phone, so you didn't hear that. But I've explained the difference. I've explained what I think exists. I think they have things that they can connect to boats that have, hoses and whatnot that connect to boats that pump air down and do all that. I think they can do that. I think they can drop down, and I think there might even be small boats that you can go underwater, say 10 feet or so, 20 feet. Maybe. But I don't even know how much of that I believe.
I mean, that has to exist. They can do scuba tank.
I know. Listen.
So it's just like a big scuba tank.
It's not just like a big scuba tank. A scuba tank is small compared to a submarine that can hold 80 school buses worth of compressed air.
Submersibles.
At those round submersibles, yeah, there's something there. Do I think that... See, it's almost like I feel like I'm so much smarter than you guys on a basic level. And it's like people assume it's the same thing. Well, we could fly airplanes, can't we? Yeah. Airplanes aren't surrounded by billions and billions of pounds of water trying to crush it. Like, that's the thing people are just... It's a lack of understanding, or I don't even know what to call it, but all of you people who aren't understanding that, you've been in a pool before. You've literally gone in a pool, and if you've been fortunate enough to swim in a big, deep pool, you know what it's like when you get down 12, 15, 20 feet down. Right? It's like something is literally squeezing your head and trying to crush you. So to think that these things, that in 1850 they could build a submarine that could go 103 feet down, stay down there for 4 to 4.5 hours. The cabin was pressurized so that they could open up a hatch on the bottom of the cabin and harvest oysters and pearls and shit. If you think that's a thing, I don't even know what to say to you. Even before I looked into submarines, I would have thought, that's bullshit. 1850, what are you talking about? And the other part that people just don't, they don't want to talk about or acknowledge is the whole concept of the nuclear sub. That it just sort of appeared in the 1950s, the early 50s, because they wanted it to. They decided they wanted it to, so then this Jewish guy who renounced his Judaism to be Protestant, I guess, he just somehow invents the nuclear sub. And it's not like there's a whole, like, okay, even that, what I read you about Rickover, that you know, that super Navy guy, the longest serving, the guy that invented the nuclear sub. What part about that made sense? Especially the part where he's supposedly getting his degree, and he's in Washington and California and New York and Philadelphia all at the same time.
Virtual classes. Duh.
Right. I mean, it's like it's wild how, you know, all these people that are arguing with me, usually they're either somebody that says, well, they worked on them, or they had a relative or something like that. But everybody's talking about a perspective that, like, they're just told what to think and they just think it. And it's like, I'm going to present you with a bunch of shit that you're going to go, well, I don't know, but I know submarines are real. Well, I don't know, but I know submarines are real. That's going to be your basic response to everything. Instead of you allowing yourself to really question what's being presented to you. It's pretty fucking weird. Rage baiting druggie. Yep, rage baiting druggie. Yeah. If something I can say with my mouth makes you rage, you're a clown. If you get upset by what other people say, you're an idiot. Like, super, super idiot. No, we've seen and or have been on a submarine. Sure you have. Sure you have. I just find it amazing. I can't find Christians to argue their beliefs with me, but I can find multiple people who are supposedly submariners. That just makes all of the sense, right? That sounds like how the internet works. All these submarine people are they're just on YouTube looking for that one guy who happens to be talking about subs not being real, and they're all like, hey, we finally found somebody. Nobody's done this yet, but it's fucking stupid. It's just crazy. And then to think like if you don't understand how the system works, if you don't understand, you know, a lot of people are talking shit, but they don't know what Team Jorge is. And I highly encourage everyone to look into Team Jorge, put Team Jorge Israel into the Google machine, and you will get all of the proof that you need that there is an Israeli conspiracy and that they control social media. It's everywhere. Right? It's like someone saying a car isn't real, right? It's like someone saying a car isn't real because I can't go, hey, look, there's cars right there. I can't go sit in a car. I can't go drive a car. Right. That's the same thing. Duh. What's Team Jorge? Well, let's look it up so we get the exact definition of it, just so everybody is on the same page. Team Jorge Israel. There, we'll go to the Wikipedia page. See, Wikipedia, Team Jorge. Team Jorge is the name given to an outfit of Israeli contractors specialized in the use of malign cyber activities, including hacking, sabotage, and bot farm-run social media disinformation campaigns to manipulate the outcomes of elections or anything else. One of the organization's primary tools is a software package called Advanced Impact Media Solutions, or AIMS. The group was exposed in February 2023 after an award-winning undercover operation by journalists from Israel and France as part of a consortium of investigative journalists coordinated by Forbidden Stories. The organization has been active since at least 2015 and boasts of having manipulated 33 presidential elections worldwide, many of them in Africa, and in 27 cases with successful results. Their activities were revealed following a 2022 sting operation in Tel Aviv carried out by 3 undercover journalists who posed as prospective clients and filmed their interactions with Tal Hanan,
the group's leader and former Israeli Special Forces operative, in which he explained the inner workings of the organization. Talhanen used the pseudonym Jorge when working with the hacking and disinformation group, which inspired the Team Jorge name. Now, remember, this is just one. This is just one organization. Right. Just go to California and pay for a tourist submarine experience and cut the crap. So again, this person is so mad that he thinks I should just hop on that bus and go to California, hop on that plane and just go to California and pay for the submarine tour experience. What's crazy about that is you would think,
Sending you tickets?
well, you would think there would be lots of people that have done that and then filmed that experience on YouTube.
Well, maybe you're not allowed to bring cameras in.
Why not?
There's a lot of places you can't.
Why?
Because they want people to pay to come see it. They don't.
Maybe that's what it is. But there would be some that get through anyway. And the fact is, they love having cameras on submarines. The military does. So
Yeah, that they can control what they show you.
right, but still, the idea that there should be
Secret, I'm sure.
there should be all sorts of videos of people standing on the waters and shit, seeing submarines going up and down. There should be all sorts of videos of this. There's not. The fact that there's not, I mean, it should say something to you, just like this Team Jorge shit should say something to you. And if all you can focus on is the weed, lay off. If the pot is so negatively affecting me, why can't you say anything other than that? Why am I the one talking about the secret Israeli Black Ops organization funded by the U.S. that controls social media, and you think I should stop talking about it? Submarines aren't meant to be seen. Right. Where can I send you videos? You could send videos to the Gmail address that's in the on the page. I mean, you can figure this shit out. It's pretty easy. I'll put links and stuff in the description of the video. You can go get your free download, www.the-bilderberg-group.com. But the thing is, so let's see. I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go to YouTube. I'm going to put submarine underwater footage. Submarine underwater footage. Is that good enough for you guys? Submarine underwater footage. Let's see how much submarine underwater footage I can find. Now here's a 44-second clip that looks really fake and weird. Supposedly it's a submarine just going super slow underneath some people scuba diving in Hawaii. That's not a video. That's just some supposed tours. Here you go. Here's a real video of submarines in water. Remember this one, sweetheart? That one looks real as fuck, doesn't it? And of course, it's right at the top of the water. Did you not see the fish?
Yeah, I saw the fish.
Man, those must have been some huge fucking fish, don't you think? Yep, that's a real life submarine in action going through the water. Do. Just a submarine floating in the water.
So the naysayer would say, what about that makes you think it's not real?
The fact that, first of all, it's literally sticking out of the top of the water. There's a reflection on the top of the water. And if that looks like a model to me, that doesn't look like a big giant submarine. Sorry. I would need more proof than that. Especially when you say this is the only video that really exists. I mean, this looks like a small tank. This looks like a tank. Nothing's going by the film. Nothing. It's just, it looks stupid. If you believe that's a real submarine, I guess that's on you. That's your belief. I need more than that. If you don't need more than that, that's on you. Here's another video. U.S. Massive submarine diving like a whale in the middle of the ocean. You'd think, wow, okay, that's real. That's going to be real life footage, isn't it? When whales go up, when whales dive, they go down and their fins kick up. So you're telling me that this is gonna dive down? Okay, cool. I mean, the same thing is like you understand that they show you all sorts of videos of supposed spacewalks and shit, where they're on the International Space Station that is steadily falling into the Earth at 17,500 miles an hour, and they're out floating around in their little spacesuits, do. And so many of those videos have been debunked. So many of those videos, there'll be air bubbles that show up, or there'll be like the screen will go bad. Something will happen and the green screen will fuck up, and like the image will be fucked up for a minute. Like it's literally happened. Think about how many people are out there scrutinizing NASA videos and all that shit. Think about just all the internet sleuths that are focused on space. Imagine if even half of those people question the legitimacy of submarines. Because like the person said, I'm the only person they've ever heard say this shit. Right? Think about how many, like, and then you say, okay, so all those people would scrutinize what videos? What videos could they scrutinize? They don't exist. Here you go. Oh, look, submarine. Yep, here's the submarine. And see, the thing is, I keep bringing up points that stupid people don't address. Nobody addresses the points being made. You know, nobody addresses why there's no movement ever shown by the people in the submarine. If you think that makes sense, I mean, it's just, you've never been in a vehicle? By the way, like, share, and sub. Have you never been in a vehicle? Like, look at all these found my idiot of the hour gawk while eating Cheerios. So this guy goes around, and instead of using the greatest research tool that's ever been given to us to try to better himself, at what, 9 in the morning, he's eating his Cheerios so he can be, no, this is a different guy. So he can be, so he can find his, he's mad. Who's going to be mad about me questioning this? If I'm wrong, then you should just be like, oh, he's crazy. I know he's wrong because. And yet, not a single fucking person comes on here and says anything that of merit, other than, my brother served in a submarine. See, the thing is, too, like, if you claim that your relative, you whatever, you were part of the nuclear submarine corps anywhere prior to like 1990 something, or maybe 80 something, 90, then you should know about Rickover, because he literally was the only person that did that handpicked every single person involved in the nuclear submarine program. That doesn't scream conspiracy, does it? And the guy's been building his own submarine and chronicling it on YouTube. I don't think you're an idiot and all, but this guy goes deep in depth about the inner machinations. Yeah, well, let's see how long it takes for him to make it work. If this guy's been building his own submarine for, like again, first of all, do you not think that the system could put out a fake, this guy's building his own submarine videos? Do you really think that just has to be legitimate? Bro, yeah, every day, goddamn. Yeah, because I should make videos where I'm just looking at you.
Well, maybe he wants to talk about something else.
He's so stupid. If you want to talk about something else, go. There's countless other videos of people talking about the dumb shit you want to talk about. Yeah, Trump. Yeah, Trump. Yeah, Trump. Yeah, Trump. Like, you go ahead. Go find your video. You can book a tour in a submarine. Yep, sure I can. I'd love to see me book a tour on a naval submarine that goes deep into the Arctic waters and I'm sure I can do that. How come every video that exists showing a submarine rising up looks like somebody's holding something underwater and they let it go and it pops up? Like these are just really basic things. You know what? We've made all these points. We've talked about all this shit before. And the whole thing with Team Jorge. Team Jorge is a much more important story. Like, you guys should all be focused on Team Jorge. You guys should all like, share, and sub. No doubt about that. Speaking of subs, like, share, and sub. But you guys should all know about Team Jorge. Team Jorge is the smoking gun. It's the evidence that Israel and the Jews control the world. They control social media. It's 100% undeniable evidence that I don't care who you are, you can go look it up and you'll find the information. You know, everything I've talked about, everything I ever talk about, anybody can look it up. The U.S. has billions in military funds. Why do you think it's not possible? There are 9 parts to this series, to the original series, that you can go watch. There's so many reasons to think it's not possible. Mainly, it's stupid. But again, you should be focused on Team Jorge, the smoking gun that Israel controls the world. I know you want to do the submarine talk, and there's plenty of videos on the... Go watch the other videos. Go watch the previous videos in my series, bruh. Building 7. Building 7 is a distraction. New York is the distraction. That was just the insurance job that the Jews made tons of money from. The thing you're being distracted from on 9/11 is the Pentagon. The Pentagon is the big thing. Rumsfeld, the night before, announces that the government has lost $2.3 trillion. The next day, the plane happens to hit the one section in the Pentagon that had been reinforced to take a missile strike, where the whole operation, the whole investigation into that 2.3 trillion, that whole thing was being housed in that section of the Pentagon, and that's the part that got blown up. You want to talk about stupid things, man? Again, ask yourself why there are random people who aren't working, who have nothing else going on, so they're deciding to troll a feed where a guy is talking about how we out the pedophile. Like, all of you Americans out there, even all you other countrymen out there, unless you're Israeli, you should be on Team Goyim. Right? Because your country probably gives Israel millions of dollars in tax money that could be used in your own country. The United States... The United States gives $3.8 billion a year, and since October 7th of last year, has given $18 billion to Israel to kill people. Right? I'm unemployed and having breakfast. All right. Oh, wow. I should leave you alone. Aren't you on my feed, doofus? Team Jorge is the story you guys really need to focus on. You know, and there's so much to it. They brag. Now remember, this is just one Israeli black ops organization that was exposed. Who knows how many they actually have, but I'm sure it's more than one.
Nathan's other clean one, the gray square one. Team Jorge. It sounds so funny. How they give it a Mexican. That's what I was. Yeah, that's exactly what I was just gonna say. That is definitely misleading marketing right there. Purposefully misleading marketing. And I hate that. That I think has been, part of the downfall of this country is that misleading marketing for every fucking thing. That's led to all the horrible ingredients in all of our food.
Yeah, but that's not
That's led to-
accidental.
No, I said it's purposefully.
Right.
Right.
It's a manipulation by who? Then you have to ask yourself who.
Thank you.
Who is the one? Who are the people that are doing the manipulating?
Ah,
Well, I mean, what's the answer to
there's the
that?
spoon.
What's the answer to that? You know, what the thing is, people don't kind of get it that like saying like they've tricked you into saying and thinking that if you say the Jews have all the money and the power and they control Hollywood and government and they control that's a slur. Think about all the racial slurs you've ever heard, right? All the horrible things all the stereotypes you've heard about people. Does controlling the world, having all the money and power, does that compare to the things you've heard about other people? Think about that. Think about how goofy that is. How well they've don't you feel tricked? Don't you feel stupid? When you realize that, don't you go, you know what, you're right. I have said that before. Dude, don't say that's a conspiracy theory. Don't say that conspiracy theory. Yeah. The Jews, 0.183% of the world's population. Think about how many power positions you think they're in. Think about how influential they are and how much control 0.183% of the world's population has. Again, isn't it weird how like people would much rather me talk about submarines than talk about the genocide happening, the system controlling the world, where your United States tax dollars go, who controls your government, the APAC, the lobbies you don't want to talk about that stuff. You want to talk about the submarines that I've talked about to death for 9 episodes, multiple hours each. I thought I was supposed to talk about different shit. Right? Isn't it to complain that you just sit there and you say the same things over and over again? Why do you always say the same things over and over again? But this part, you want me to go back to saying it, I guess, right? Go back to saying the same things over and over again. Like it's just stupid. It's stupid how how basic in just like that I can't find a reasonable argument. Do you know how ridiculous that is? I can't find people that will actually embrace the argument and instead find these dumb children who, say stupid shit. They just say stupid shit and they have no backing for it. And they, Israel, the Palestinians attacked the Israelis just as much as the Israelis attacked the Palestinians and stupid shit like that. Like, you guys are just dumb. It's weird how instead of realizing how uninformed you are and maybe learning from it, you just like rant and rave like pay attention. It's weird. Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, go watch the previous videos. That's all I can tell you about the submarines. There's so much evidence that's presented to you to show you that something's not right in the narrative you're told. But see, again, it's just strange. Like so many people, especially in the conspiracy side of things, are questioning the earth shape, questioning space, questioning all that shit. And yet something that I firmly believe, like submarine travel is a lot harder than space travel. Like, even if on a worst case scenario, your thing explodes, you could still fall out and maybe have parachutes or whatever it may be. You're in a submarine and that thing implodes or whatever they do. I would imagine death is pretty quick. But it's you know, it's this weird inability to be able to actually focus on, like, it's the shoot the messenger thing. You know, there's so many of these Team Jorge fake profiles here trying to get the people that are, because they know they're not going to affect me. They're trying to get the people that are watching that might be going, hey, this guy makes some sense here. I never thought about it like that, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to get you to think I'm crazy. Because if you think I'm crazy, then I might not be able to, you know, I might not have the hold on you that I do. Anti-Jew, absolutely. Anti-Jew, 100%. I'm proud of my anti-Semitism because I'm proud of anti-supremacy. I don't believe in supremacy in any way, and Semitism is supremacy. It's a belief or predisposition favorable to the Jews. That's just a funny way of saying that Jews get favor. Why would Jews get favor? This man's crazy. God tier troll. When the message is misinformation, can you get in trouble? Why? See, again, instead of trying to convince me or you know, present information contrary to what I'm saying, they want me to get in trouble. That's usually what happens, right? That's usually what happens when somebody isn't telling the truth. People just get mad. But the Jews are the indigenous people of Israel. Yeah, they sure are. Since 1948, when Israel was established, yep, they're the indigenous people. Never mind the people that supposedly lived there for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Nah, the book the Jews wrote says so. Am not anti-Jew, am just awake in their agenda for one world religion. One world religion is the solution. One of the greatest tricks is tricking you into thinking the solutions are the problems. And a one world religion where instead of us believing in Sky Daddy, we believe that man is amazing and look what we're capable of. And if we all work together, we can, you know, and we explore all of those Eastern, you know, beliefs and all that stuff, the rocks, and we explore all of it. And we incorporate all of the things that all these other belief structures and all good parts of all these other belief structures into a one world religion that benefits everyone. That's how you beat this thing. You know, a one world government where everybody has the same rights, the same freedoms, where it doesn't matter if you happen to be born in this country and you're gay, they can't kill you, you know, or you're a woman. Like, I just, it's amazing to me how women aren't, like how superficial they have the whole equality movement instead of realistic. You know, it's this superficial bullshit that they have women fighting for, that, oh, we're just as good as you are at sports. No, you're not. And that's totally okay. Why would you be in competition with us? Who told you to be in competition with us? Makes you wonder. And do you know the earth is flat? No, I don't believe it's flat. I don't believe it's a ball flying through space either. Words also have more than one meaning. I asked a question, you ignored it. You only acknowledged your... Yep. Right. Why don't you ask your dumb question again? Whatever, man. I've been on nuclear subs. Not real, though. Yep. Another person who has been on nuclear subs. Yeah, they were docked in the harbor, and we got to go on, and we took a bunch of pictures. My grandma was there. You have not been on nuclear subs.
They made a museum out of recreation of Noah's Ark museum. Does that mean that it's real and was functioning at any point in time?
It's just one of the dumbest stories.
I mean, I'm just asking.
At least, I mean, it's so... You know what's funny about the Noah's Ark story is everybody, even the conspiracy people, sort of talk about the lead up.
To this day, so it's real.
They talk about the lead up, but nobody talks about the aftermath. Where, okay, let's just say it all happened, right? So now you have Noah and his family, and they're in charge of repopulating the earth. And apparently they happen, like, because they're relatives, they happen to make 2 black babies and then put those 2 black babies, boy and a girl, in a boat and sent it on over to Africa, where they repopulated Africa. And then they made 2 Native American looking babies, so they sent them over the ocean to the unknown continent of the Americas, and they populated the Americas. And then they made a couple of fat little Eskimo looking babies, and they sent them up to the Arctic to make the Eskimos. And and they had a couple of white babies, and they had some Asian babies, and they just sent all these babies, these birth defect babies, all over these Arabic people, because Moses and friends were Jew Arabic. So they somehow made a, and the other part is, like, so supposedly the animals ate manna while they were on the boat. So after the fact, after the lions and tigers and bears, oh my, have made their way back to their native areas, they've swam across oceans, and like all the black bears and shit in North America swam across the ocean to get back to America. And how long do you think the bears sat there not eating, waiting for the other animals to repopulate, so that they didn't just kill the last, like, I'm hungry now, I want some deer meat. Well, we're the only 2 deer. Well, fuck it. There's going to be no more. Like, do you understand how stupid that is? How long did it take for everybody to repopulate? How long did the lions just sit on their little rock not eating? How did the lions repopulate if they weren't killing things to fuel the process? Muslims were never there till 1100. Dumby. This guy called me a dumby. What is the meaning of anti-Semitism? Thank you for asking. Semitism, like I say, means a belief, according to the Merriam-Webster definition. Part 1A is of Semitic quality. So everybody, like the Jews want to pretend like they own the word Semitic, but they don't. Semitic refers to the Palestinians, the Syrians, the Iranians, the Lebanese, the Iraqis, even North Africans, the black people in the North African regions are considered Semitic.
Chaldeans.
Oh,
They
right.
believe in Jesus.
Right,
Oh
the
my God.
Christians, those Christians, they are Semitic people. The next 1B is having to do with the Semitic language, speaking of Semitic languages. The second part, the second definition, says a belief or predisposition to show Jews favor. And anti-Semitism initially was coined in the 1880s to be just that, to oppose Semitism. The Jews were in control, and the people were revolting in Germany and whatnot. And they were against Semitism, so they created the anti-Semitism movement. And it was spelled ANTI hyphen capital SEMITISM for 140 some years, 135 plus years, we'll say, until 2021, when they held congressional hearings, or I don't even know how you go about it, but they decided to change the spelling from ANTI hyphen capital SEMITISM to ANTISEMITISM, all one word. And the reason for doing this, which means they have to go back and backdate all of the information, all the documentation, all the legislation, everything that has it spelled with the hyphen, somebody has to go back through and change. The reason for doing that is because they didn't want people, us, the dumb goyim, thinking that anti-Semitism opposed something called Semitism. They didn't want us to know that, like the word. Literally, they didn't want us to realize that Semitism was a word and a thing. And for us to start looking it up and realizing what we're up against. By the way, if you're watching, like, share, and sub. It really helps. Helps the algorithm. Everybody like me says it for a fucking reason. We feel stupid saying it, But come on, I'm doing my part. I'm going to provide you with whatever entertainment you need for however long you want to be here. All I ask is the ticket price is you help. Just help. That's all. Let's see. Does it have to do? Doesn't have anything to do with the Jews. Best channel, Stu Barnard. Okay, bro is unhinged. Misinformation, harassment, and bullying can be reported. See, this voices person keeps trying to encourage people to report. Like, again, instead of debunking me, this person is your typical Jew telling you not to talk about it. That's all they ever do. If you go trying to talk, go look. There is a literal genocide happening right now. 44,000 people, mostly women and children, have been killed since October 7th. Anytime anybody brings that shit up, the response is always, well, that's, that anti-Semitism. You don't want to be accused of that. And really, most people don't even bring it up because they've already been warned and cautioned. You're not supposed to talk about this. Nobody denies it. No Jews are out here denying that they're fucking committing genocide. No Jews deny that their beliefs are awful and all these. They tell you you're not supposed to talk about it. You dumb goyim, you're not supposed to talk about it. Don't you talk about it. If you're proud of what you believe and your thing is the truth, then you welcome the discussion. For me, I go live every day and put my shit out there, risking my everything to get to the bottom of the truth because I believe that's what I'm doing and I believe I have the truth, at least as far as I know it to be. I don't tell people, don't you say that. You're not allowed to ask that question. I want you to get all the information you can from me. How come the Jews with the thousands of years of history, even though Hebrew is only about 100 years old, how many of you know that? Hebrew is the newest language on the planet, created by a guy called Eliezer Ben Yehuda. There's literally pictures of the guy that created Hebrew. That's how young it is. Yet it's this old, super old language, but no, it's not. Blah, blah, blah. Palestine, Greece called the invaders Jews, been Israel during biblical times until Muslims. You just don't even know what you're talking about. My grandfather served on a submarine in the Korean War. Yep. Sure he did. U.S. nuclear Navy engineer. You are so smart. Yup. An anti-Semite is someone who has a hostile or prejudice attitude towards Jew. Copy and paste definition. Okay, did I say anti-Semite? Here. This is one of those things where I always got to prove it because stupid people say stupid things. So, Semitism, S-E-M-I. It's weird because I don't need to lie. I never need to lie to get my point across. And I know that there are people out here just trying to get me, trying to catch me. So if I do lie, they're immediately going to bring it up. So there's no point in lying, especially since the narrative is just so fucked up. So, Semitism definition into the Google machine. You see it? We're going to go to the Merriam-Webster definition, right? Merriam-Webster, Semitism is a noun. 1A, Semitic character or Semitic character or qualities, right? 1B, a characteristic feature of a Semitic language occurring in another language, right? That's when we say things like, that guy has a lot of chutzpah, right? When we start using stupid Yiddish words, even though we don't even understand them, that's what they're talking about. Number 2, policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. Look it, right? Because I make things up, don't I? Don't I make things up all the time, sweetheart? Hey, I think since I just proved that earns a like, share, sub, doesn't it? Semitism, definition. Everything you need right there. It's right there. You tell me what I'm getting wrong. Love to hear about it. Love to hear about it. I look forward to seeing your man. Yeah. I don't care what you do. Why you gotta say Jews like that? Why wouldn't I? Again, isn't it strange how instead of actually addressing what's being said, people say stupid shit like that? Americans be wild sometimes. Do you believe in a creator, bro? What does that even mean? Do you understand a creator does not mean God? Shalom from Israel. Fuck you, Israel. Fuck everything about Israel. Fuck you guys. You guys are awful. Oh, tell your sister over there to stop buying your meth. Ha, that was funny. Oh man, that was creative.
I think that one kind of hurt, didn't it?
It did. Ouch. Thank you for pointing out the difference between anti-Semite and anti-Semitism. He believes in delusional Big Bang. Yep, I believe in the Big Bang. We all know that. Am Israel. All of you Israels can all you Israelis can just eat the whole bag of dicks. We will wipe you out soon enough. Don't you worry. Bro, you need to get off the internet. This shit ain't good. Right. It's not good for you to think and ask questions and learn things. Who says things like that? Like, seriously. It's not like you can even say, oh, get off the conspiracy theory web pages. Because I could see that. If I got all my information from some bald white dude with a beard, I could totally get it. With his MAGA hat on. But considering all I ever do is read the information I'm supposed to read, I don't see what your issue is. What the hell are you learning? I believe in the Big Bang or something similar. I also believe in an all-knowing. Wow, that's funny. Why can't the Big Bang and God both exist? They're already the same story. It's the same dumb nonsense. It's dumb. So the question I always ask, whether it's the Big Bang or whether it's the Jesus, was the singularity. The singularity is everything in the universe is condensed down because of gravity. Is condensed down into something smaller than a match head. Ooh, baby. Look around your room. Look around. Go out front. Look outside your house. Look everywhere you can see and multiply that by infinity. Along with everything everybody else can see times infinity. And all of that was condensed down into some head. Just bubbling and it's the match head is just so much gravity is pushing it all together. Gravity is condensing it down into. Not right now, dude. It's condensing everything down. So small. All of the everything. Now, is that singularity like sitting on a white piece of paper or something? Or is that singularity inside a big giant black stuff? And if that's the case, well, what made that? What made the singularity? What made all the black stuff? Same thing with God. Did God just appear in the black stuff and then start making everything? Or did God was it I mean the idea was nothing. There was just a nothing there, and then God just sort of appeared and was like, I'm going to make everything black. And then I'm going to start building stars. Like, it's all just stupid. It's really, really stupid. And the Big Bang thing is just, it's like I already know what all of you know. I know your narrative. Right? You believe that there's the Fibonacci sequence is in everything. If the Fibonacci sequence is in everything, and if you know anything about how fractal computers work and fractal mathematics work, well, the Fibonacci sequence is the base code that is put into the computer that generates this thing that we live in. Whatever this thing we live in is, this structure that we live in, the Fibonacci sequence is the base code. That's why it's in everything. And when you say, okay, what's more likely? The Jesus God the Big Bang, or maybe just one option. We are just we are basically a reality TV show for a much more advanced version of us. And we're inside something we don't know we're in, and they control our narrative. And they use the Jews to control everything. That's why they're the chosen.
Do you have something you need to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Beveridge,
What requires the least amount of faith? How far away do you think we are from being able to create something that the creatures inside don't know they're in?
That is so cool.
I just saw this video yesterday, maybe it was today, of the Chinese cloak technology, the invisible cloaking technology. Have you guys seen that? They have a cloak. It's like a sheet. It's not even like a hard thing. It's a sheet. And it makes things invisible. And that's just nothing. That's us knowing what they have. If you don't think that we're like, how far do you think we are from that? 50 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years? Any way you slice it, it's not impossible to think that we're going to be able to build something that the things inside won't know they're in. And we'll have cameras that they won't know are cameras, that can see everything that we don't, I mean, I don't like going down this road because I can't necessarily prove it. But when it comes to all of the rest of the shit, like when you're talking about the Big Bang, so that the singularity explodes, there's the black part where there's nothing. There's the big explosion, then there's nothing. Then the stars get made because the same gravity that was holding all the singularity together, as it explodes and spews out dust and debris in all the directions. Now, think about this. It's a singularity, right? So, apologize for killing Jesus Christ. Oh my God, you're so dumb. The Jews gave you that narrative, dummy. They're the ones that gave you the narrative. That's why they put their book in the front. The Jews are the main bad guys in the Bible. Isn't it amazing? Like, of all the religions that exist, the Christians are the dumbest. Because the Christians believe that the bad guys of their Bible, the Jews, and Abraham, that the Jews are the Christian God's chosen people. And the Jews think Christians are fucking stupid. They look down on you. And they're the bad guys in your Bible, but they're your God's chosen people. If you don't understand how stupid that is, I can't make a video that's going to get you to understand that. But the Big Bang explodes, and the dust and debris is flying everywhere. So if you have a singularity, and an explosion happens, and it shoots things in every direction, well, the further the things get from that initial point, the farther away they're all going to be from each other. Things aren't going to be close together. They're going to keep getting further and further the farther they go away from the initial explosion. But in this situation, it doesn't work that way. And these magical gravity pockets that initially contained the thing, they exist in these little swirly whirlpools where they swirl and swirl and swirl, and they pull all the dust and debris into clumps and clumps and clumps and clumps. And those clumps get bigger and bigger, and then they eventually light themselves on fire. Nuclear plasma last forever fire in the vacuum of space. And then around those stars that we call them, in a fried egg pattern, because now all of a sudden there's an up and a down, and there's a North Pole and a South. It's so stupid if you think there's a North Pole and a South Pole on a ball in a vacuum. Like, there's no top and bottom in a vacuum, you dumbasses. So the North Pole could be anywhere. It's not a top and bottom thing. Yet for some reason, that's what you're supposed to believe. And then in a straight line, like out in a fried egg pattern, multiple other whirly pools come together and pull clumps together. But these clumps, instead of lighting themselves on fire, their insides light on fire. Their core lights on fire. And then the outside, like here on Earth, it just starts raining and raining and raining. And then maybe another rock falls from the sky, and with it, it survives. Somehow the single-celled organism survives the crash into the Earth, where that single-celled organism mutates into a double-celled organism, and then it just keeps changing and changing until eventually they turn into fish, and then the fish crawl out of the water. Because again, think about it. Like if you think about anything just going into water and start breathing. One day, some human just is like, I can breathe in water. That's basically what we're talking about. A fish decides to get out of the water, and I guess maybe it's two fish because it has to have babies. And these fish turn into great big lizards, big giant dinosaur lizards, some of which can fly. These fish learn how to fly. They live on the earth for hundreds of millions of years until another rock falls out of the sky, wipes almost all of them out, except the ones that survive, and turn into the birds and chickens and shit of today, while more fish come out of the water and turn into tigers and rats and all sorts of other mammals and lizards and all sorts of variety of creatures, including monkeys, that eventually turn into humans, figure out how to fly in the 1900s, and by the 2000s, we got it all figured out. Fuck yeah, that makes sense. And anybody that questions it, you're a bad person. You shouldn't say those things. If you question that narrative, you're bad. That's the dumbest fucking shit. That's as dumb as Adam and Eve and God and all that bullshit. It's the same sort of dumb. Let's see these great. Okay. Yeah, Trump won, bro. Evolution takes thousands of years. Yeah, they literally got out of the water so often they started breathing air. Yep, that's what happens. Over thousands of years. Never mind that the first year, one fish gets out of the water and gets back in. And everybody in the fish world's like, dude, I can't believe you did that. And then the next year, the fish gets out and waits 2 seconds, and then gets back in. And over time, this just gets longer and longer. And over thousands of years of evolution, they eventually develop the lungs. And shut the fuck up. Shut up. You just don't realize how stupid you sound. Because you've been told that you're telling the smart narrative. That's the smart people narrative. You know, you're not. The dumb narrative is those crazy religious people who believe absolute nonsense, which they do. And since you already know that they believe nonsense, you go, well, it must be the smart narrative. The smart narrative must be the one. Evolution takes thousands of years. Yep. So you've seen a fish change any crawled out of the water, really? So you've seen a fish change any crawled out of the water, really? That's a sentence somebody said. Hydrothermal vents and water filter for me to get a single one for me, but I can get it. Hydrothermal vents and Gavin Lux, the baseball player? That would be awesome. And water filter for me to get a single one for me, but I can get. Is my brain not working right? One fish, two fish, red fish, two fish. Jesus is a little while now, and I will get a single job for. He's hitting that light bulb hard. What human beings learned how to fly? It's not that it makes sense. It's proven. Is it proven? What's been proven? What are you talking about? I love when people start talking about proven. That or happens to Jesus walking on water. No, Jews are horrible. Nobody gives a shit about you other than tell you you're horrible. Mammals descend from a group of animals that lived during and prior to the dinosaurs. Yeah, but they came out of the water. And again, that's your narrative that you want to believe this time. Okay. When did evolution stop? That's a good point. Well, no, it's still happening, right, Algo? You got to believe it. And because we're taller, bigger, better, stronger, that's evolution. That's not just better medicine and life, quality of life and whatnot. That's not a theory of evolution. Nah, the Bible is way dumber. They're the same. They're the exact same. I mean, the idea that God just sort of appears one day and goes, you know what? You know what I need? I need to make a planet. And I'm gonna make it with all these animals and shit. I'm gonna make this little garden. And I'm gonna put this guy, and I'm gonna give him a wife. And then she's not gonna listen, so we're gonna kick her out. That's Lilith. For all of you that don't understand the Lilith story, you might want to look into it. Because that's part of your Bible, and it's fucking stupid. But it's that woman wasn't subservient, so they kicked her out. And started over again. And this time they made Eve. And like, the Bible story is just so funny to me. Like, most Christians don't even know their own Bible story. Right? Like, you ask Christians, what's the first thing God did? After God turns on the light. So the way they describe it, it sounds like somebody who just bought, like, the latest incarnation of Earth, of Sim City. And this futuristic Sim City is like an aquarium thing that he has in his basement. And they say God's face is going along the waters of the deep, like a guy looking in an aquarium, like that, looking around, until he finally decides where he wants to put the land. So God, first thing he does is creates the indestructible firmament, the dome, to separate the waters of heaven from the land down below. It's funny how people don't understand. All these Christians out there that believe in Big Bangs and why can't the Big Bang and Christianity be the same thing? Because they can't. God made the dome. God made the firmament. That's the first thing he does. And so somehow 4 days goes by and then God makes the sun and moon. I'll let you think about that one for a little bit. But eventually Adam comes around, makes Adam, and Adam's like a dumb child or some shit. I don't even know, but most importantly, he's this naked dumbass sitting there, and God makes little clay animals, and God's like, I'm gonna make this one with a really long neck. Wonder what he's gonna call it. And Adam's like, that's a giraffe! Yay! And God's like, all right, that's a giraffe. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna make a big fat one. That one had long nose. I'm gonna call that a pinko font. No. No. An elephant. Yay! That's an elephant. Yay! And God's like, yep, that's an elephant. And Adam's like, I could really, my legs are tired. I'm going to call it sit. I want to sit on something. And God's like, okay, blink, blink. There's what do you call that? And Adam's like, sit on chair. That's a chair. Yay, we got chairs now. Yay, because nobody ever tells you where chairs came from. But after they go and they make all the animals in the Garden of Eden, and as dumb Jew Ari Shavir says, Adam's watching all these animals fucking.
Can you hang on 1 second? Where's the Walgreens on Grand River? I know it's on Grand River. The one closest. Is it towards beach or?
Yeah, it's Grand River and Telegraph.
Sue would have got all the way there. She's stranded. I gotta go get
her. Yeah, Grand River and Telegraph. I assume, or she's got to tell you which direction. There's several. So Adam's like, I want to do that too. Should I do that with the animals? And God's like, no, don't do that. That would be horrible. Like if it was a child, it'd be okay. But here, let me make you a baby. Let me make you a woman. So he puts him to sleep. And for some reason, like, was Lilith made from one of the ribs? Because we don't talk about that.
Doesn't come from a dude.
Yeah, she does.
No,
It's the same fucking story. It's just Lilith didn't listen like she was supposed to. And so they kicked her out. So Eve is made. And then God is like, okay, you guys, you can do whatever you want. Just, there's that tree in the middle right there with the big, delicious looking apples on it. Don't eat from that shit. And they're like, why not, God? And he's like, 'cause I said so. And they're like, okay, shit, we won't do it then. So then God leaves. He like goes to work, or I don't know where he leaves to. But when he's gone, a snake slithers up, and I guess Adam's probably passed out. Maybe they were probably having sex. Adam was probably just fucking as much as he could. But the snake comes up and it's like, psst, psst, come here, hey girly, come here. And God can't see any of this. Omniscient, all-powerful, everywhere at all times, God doesn't see this. And the snake's like, Eve, you gotta, you're wondering why you're so itchy, right? And Eve's like, yeah, this place down here is itchy, and then I smell my fingers, and I scratch my butt, and I smell my face. Oh, it's awful. Why am I so itchy? And the snake's like, because you got bugs all up in your shit. All those little bugs that Adam and God made, now they're fucking, they like shit. They like assholes and stuff. You gotta do something about that. And Eve's like, me don't understand what you say. And the snake's like, I know, but if you eat that apple, you'll understand. And he's like, what do you mean? And the snake's like, you want to stop itching? And Eve's like, yeah, I don't like it. And the snake's like, go take a bite of the apple. So Eve takes a bite of the apple, and she has like that Google Earth experience that comes back down. And she's like, holy shit, I'm naked. That's why all these bugs are crawling in my coochie and shit. Oh, okay, here. Let me make some clothes out of leaves real quick. I happen to know how to make a bikini out of leaves. And she wakes up Adam, who's probably scratching his ass at that exact moment. She's like, Adam. And Adam's like, hey, what you got? What you wearing? I'm going to call that wearing. What are you wearing? And she's like, oh, you'll see. Here, take a bite. And Adam's like, me no want bite. God said no. And he was like, does your ass itch? And he's like, yeah, me butt itch. And so she's like, just take a bite. So he's like, okay. And she's like, I'll suck your dick again. He's like, okay, I'll do it. So he takes a bite. And he has the Google Earth moment. He's like, holy shit, I'm naked too. Oh, okay. I'm itching because there's bugs in my ass. Oh, okay. Hey, can you whip me up some of those leaf clothes you just know how to make? And he's like, yeah, no problem. But as this is happening, God comes home from work or wherever the fuck he's going. I don't know. Wherever he went. And he can't find all powerful, all omniscient, everywhere, all times God can't find Adam and Eve. And he's walking around, Adam, wherefore art thou, Adam? And finally, Adam, who's hiding behind a tree, finally comes out. God can't see him behind the tree, but he comes out from behind the tree, and God takes one look and goes, oh my me, why aren't you naked? And Adam's like, because we had fucking bugs in our ass, man. Why'd you make bugs that go in people's butts if you wanted me to be naked all the time? That shit was itchy. It was awful. And God was like, no, this isn't what I paid for. I wanted naked little things that I could come home and I could play with, and we could make creatures, and I could watch you guys. And, I made you the Eve so you could bang her. What the hell? Seriously. And Adam's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's itchy. And Eve happens to be a marvelous leaf tailor. And God's like, well, fuck that. You know, and Adam's like, well, it's Eve's fault. She took the bite first because he's a dick, sold out his woman. And God was like, well, that's it, bitch. From here on out, women are going to die and have horrible childbirth experiences and postpartum depression and all that shit. Because you didn't want bugs in your coochie, bitch. Now get the fuck out. And he kicked them out. And then the kids, Cain and Abel, took wives from the people of Nod, who somehow also exist, but never get talked about. Don't blaspheme God. Hey, what did I say that was wrong? You tell me what part I said that was wrong about your stupid, dumbass, non-existent God. Please. Please tell me. Bro thinks they were speaking English. Yeah, I know, that's crazy. They were speaking some other language in make-believe. So stupid. Satan, take the vile beast of the field. Oh, Jesus Christ. Look at how look at all these angry people that can't debunk anything I have to say. If you're on board, like, share, and sub. Because we need, even if you disagree, like, share, and sub. Dislike, don't forget to dislike. But if you share it, maybe you'll get people who are better at arguing than you are, because you guys aren't good at this. It was from choosing sin, not eating the apple, bro. Just debunked everything. Yep, from choosing sin. Yep, that's what it was. It was because they were naked. All knowing, all everywhere, everything, all the time. God had no idea they took the bite until he saw them with his own eyes. And when he saw them with his own God eyes right in front, because again, he didn't have his security system set up yet or something, I don't know. Once he saw that they weren't naked anymore, that's when he got mad. You haven't debunked anything, big dog. You've given your opinion. I don't want to talk bad about you, but you're off the evolution subject and into religion, but I'm curious your thoughts on Kurzweil's law of accelerating returns, both in evolutionary and technological aspects. I don't know that law. I'd be happy to look it up. But I think all that stuff is just chat GPT nonsense at this point. When it comes to all the characters from history and all the bullshit that they tell us, I'm just not on board anymore. And that comes from trying to figure these things out and looking these people up and consistently being amazed at how stupid it is. They didn't know until they chose. Yep. And then all of a sudden they know how to make clothes out of leaves. Can you talk about summer and the lightning, satire? This is all satire. It's not all satire. I mean, it's putting it in basic terms because the way the Bible's written is fucking stupid. And you need interpretation because it's dumb as shit. You know, the 1611 King James Bible that was based on the all of the thousands of written text dating back to the latest 900 because they hadn't found the Dead Sea Scrolls yet. But all they had was stories from the 900s, supposedly. Talking about the scientific research, not the Bible shit. It's all stupid. The fucking scientific research is the same shit. You're literally talking about information that you have to believe, and if you don't believe it, you're allowed to be ridiculed. That's given to you by usually Jews dressed in funny little coats and weird little outfits that have access to stuff that you don't have, which makes them infallible, and your dumbass just has to believe what they say, or you're a bad person. Funny how that works with everything. It's the same shit. That's a bad way of putting it, but I think you'd enjoy looking it up. It basically means if progress in technology and evolution increase in the same time, or each, it means in technology and evolution increases each time. If progress in technology and evolution increases each time, you're missing something. We blaming a chat GPT for shit that was written 50 to 100 years ago. Sure. And you don't think they had chat GPT back then? Or a version of it? See, there's a difference between me and a lot of you. Because, the problem being is everything we're talking about is actually distraction. And I always get mad at myself when I go down these rabbit holes. Because the reality is, we can't possibly know the truth to any of this shit until we, Goyim, unite and overthrow the Jews that control our narrative. The Jews that purposefully keep us stupid and focused in the wrong directions. They know the truth about a lot more of this than we do. Or at least the ones at the top do. So all of these things end up being these distraction conspiracies that we all, it just depends on, the level of person you are. If you're a good enough person, you can see through the salvation bullshit and call out the pedophilia running rampant in your church. But most of you can't, because most of you are more worried about your own shit. Yeah, it's still accurate though. Yeah, not even good satire. Can't argue with crazy, but you can sure come watch and say the same nonsense day after day. But the weed is fake too, you have to believe. You don't have to believe it, you have to debunk it. What happened 2024 years ago, buddy? What happened then? I'm sure none of us know. And you learn this from which Holyoke director was. Why is it always the Jews? I'm crying. This shit is so funny. It's so funny to think that the Jews who believe in cutting and sucking baby penises on the 8th day of life, that they control the earth, and they have all of us mutilating our children to mark them as Jewish slaves. That's hilarious. It's hilarious that the Jews run the whole thing. And they keep us in this horrible position where we're all fighting each other. We all believe in such arrogant, stupid nonsense like Jesus, Islam, all that bullshit. Anything to keep us from focusing on them and the supremacy that they insist upon. Because anything that doesn't give them their supremacy, they immediately call it anti-Semitism. And they're telling you the truth. It's not like that's a bad thing. It's not like you should be proud of anti-Semitism. When they call something anti-Semitism, they're saying, hey, this isn't the supremacy that we demand. You're going against what we want. Smoking spice. Each time you make progress in evolution or technology, the next improvement is faster because of it. Sorry. If that was true, like I always say, we would be vacationing on the moon by now. I mean, we're only allowed to progress as far as we're allowed to progress. That's it. We only progress as far as we're allowed to progress. That's the problem that most of you don't really understand. They let us progress as they want us to. They have the tech. When they introduced the stealth technology in the late 80s, 89, everybody was, oh shit, and it was all over, and there were stickers, and as kids we were drawing the stealth fighter on everything, and it was all over. It was like the stealth plane was a rock star itself. They had stealth since the 30s, 40s, maybe the 30s, but the 40s and 50s for sure. So just in that one technology, we're like knowingly, sort of openly 50 years behind what they had available. Oh, chat naming you before a computer goes crazy. Yep. Go next door and tell me not under one, blah, blah, blah. What happened? I don't know what happened in minus times, dude. I couldn't tell you what happened in the minus times. Let me get to the important part. Basically, the Jews. Yeah, well, until, listen, if you want to talk about all of the other things, everybody else is talking about all those other things. If you get your kicks watching people talk about different distractions, there's plenty of people talking about other distractions. I believe this is the head of the monster. I don't want to talk about the fingernails, the toenails, the toes, the ankles, the knees, the elbows. I want to cut the head off the monster. You cut the head off, the rest of the fucking body dies. So if you want to fix all of the other conspiracies, you got to cut the head off the monster. You can focus on anything you want, but to me, it's all just a waste of time because everything you look into, if you look deep enough, you find the Jews. I mean, usually it's Jews that have created it or behind it or given credit for it, whatever it is. I mean, even the first nuclear sub created by a Jew. He was a converted Jew into a Protestant, but that's just what they say to make everything okay. You pretend you don't know. I'm at crazy homeless people. Oh, we have 8 days now. Do you not know how it works? So Jews think the vagina is disgusting. So when the child passes through the vagina, they have to go through the 7-day purification. Just like how in the Hasidic communities, the women, when they have their periods, they're pretty much ostracized. And then once they stop bleeding, they have to go to, I forgot what the person's called, but it's like a wet nurse. They have to go to a special, specific doctor, Moyle, probably a Moyle. And they get checked, physically checked. And if there's any blood, then the process has to start over. If there's no blood, then they get cleaned by other people inside and out. And as soon as they get home, their husbands have sex with them because they're clean. So the kid has to go through the 7-day purification ritual, and the Brit Milah is performed on the 7th day, or on the 8th day. But I don't know what I'm talking about, so. Jesus died and you think he's not real, yet your whole system of time is based on his life. So you don't even understand how that works either. So first of all, I have no choice in that matter. That's what's given to me. But in 525, a guy called Dionysus in Italy, just some random guy called Dionysus in Italy, he decides that the timeline should be based on Christ. And he somehow, we don't really understand how, because I mean, again, it's 525. I don't know what library he went to, what internet he used, but he somehow calculated that Christ's existence was 525 years ago. Whatever year it was wasn't accurate, and that they were actually in the year 525 AD. And he coined the term. It's not after death. It's Anno Domini. It's Anno Domini. And it means in the year of our Lord. So apparently there's no zero. It just goes from 1 AD to 1 BC. And BC is before Christ. And then 1 AD is the year of our Lord. And then, I mean, we're not really sure. Like, it's dumb. And again, to think about how this guy back in 525, what did he have, microfiche and shit? What was he? Okay, so this war was 35 years ago. And then this war was 78 years ago. Okay. And then, I mean, where the fuck would he have gotten his 500-year chronicled history from? It's asinine to think about it when you think about who we're supposed to be in 525 AD. But this guy, he decides it's 525 AD. He then takes it to the powers that be, like the I don't know, the timekeepers, I don't know. But he presents his case that, hey, it's actually 525 AD, and the powers that be go, okay, cool. I know everybody already has it this year, but we're gonna just all of the history books, everybody everywhere, and the people all over the world, they were like, yep, okay, we all agree. It's now 525. So everybody backdated their history and so now that we know if it predates 525, now it becomes BC. Okay, write that down so that the people in 2024, they'll be able to look this stuff up and they'll know that dates back to 232 BC. And best part is the concept of zero wasn't created until the 600s in India. It wasn't first thought of until the 600s in India. That's why it goes from 1 AD to 1 BC, according to the narrative. And the concept of zero didn't reach the Western world until 1100 to 1300 AD. So somehow, not only were we able to build things, this guy was able to do math and calculate that it was 525 AD without even having the concept of zero. Yep, that makes sense, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Just that good old Dionysus, just that guy. Imagine somebody doing that today. Me, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna be like, hey world, it's actually 2069, man. And everybody's like, okay, 2069. Redo it. Everybody redo everything all over the world, all you different cultures and shit. Everybody, let's redo it. We're gonna say it's 2069. 69, man. Do you know how stupid all that shit is? Well, you were talking about the Jews, but not the government. The Jews that control the government. Why would I waste time talking about the government that's controlled by Jews? Dude probably unironically thinks ninjas are real, yeah. I love how the random troll just starts talking to nobody. Or everybody or whatever. It's just amazing. Instead of debunking anything, try and refute that. Let's see. The wise men who studied the stars knew Jesus would be born on constellations. That's a historic fact, documented by the. It's not a historic fact. Just because you say something is a historic fact doesn't mean it is. What are you? Where is this information located? And the thing is, the part that you're not going to understand is, for me, I'm much more interested in. So at some point, some peasants or somebody were just sitting around in a field one day, and they were like, all right, chachush, you see that star right there? And he was like, which one? And he was like, that one right there, the bright one. And he was like, that one? And he was like, yeah, that one. He's like, that one? Because, again, I don't know how they would have figured out which stars were which, but somehow they mapped it out and they figured out all of these constellations that look nothing like what they're supposed to be. Oh, that's a bull. That's a lion. That's a guy and he's holding up a club and he's got a lion in the other hand. That one's a crab. And that shit went all over the world. Somehow. Don't try to figure it out because there's no information handy. And then you have these dumb idiots like in I think it was September 23rd of, I don't remember, 2020 something, maybe 2018, I don't remember, but they said that the world was going to end because some astrological, some astronomy, some astrological bullshit was going to line up in a certain way. It's like, wait, astronomy is the devil, is voodoo and shit. What are you talking about? Astrology and all that? That's not biblical. You're not supposed to do that. They followed the star. The wise men followed the star because that's a historical fact. It's a historical fact that the wise men found. They saw the birth. If you believe, like, think about this. There was no, like, there was no talk of Jesus the entire time it was alive. He was alive. According to the historical narrative, the first written accounts of Jesus that we have are the Dead Sea Scrolls that date to, with their magical laser scantron dating device, that date to 70 AD. And they're all Jewish. It's all Jew stuff. And it all just happened to be found just before Israel was established in 46. Prior to that, the oldest documents they had were from 900 AD. So prior to 1946, nobody had talked about, nobody had written down, none of the Jesus story existed until 900 AD. Meaning, even still, Dionysus calculating that 525 Jesus, he didn't have any documentation. He just calculated that shit. It wasn't based off anything. But this Jim character, I love when people say shit like that. Try to refute that. Refute that the story, like when you use the Bible to prove the Bible, that's like, yeah, well, the Sony booklet says that Sonys are the best, so they must be the best, right? The Sony DVD player is the best because Sony says so. They're completely unbiased. So stupid. What should we do about it? What should we do about it? We should unify and you know, I mean, it starts with this. I think this is the most powerful thing we can do right now. That's why I tell you to like, share, and sub. Because the larger the movement is, the bigger we are. And this being the best medium because people are comfortable. Protests are stupid. Protests do nothing. The people that you know, you go and block the roadway or this, that, and the other. Well, the people that we're talking about flying in helicopters or use some sort of underground travel that we're not even aware of yet. But protesting is stupid. What we need to do is get together behind a group and a spokesperson that's saying the things that you want to hear said. If you know somebody else that's doing this better than me, go fucking share that person. Tell me who they are and share that person with me. But until you find somebody better than me, fucking share my shit. Oh, Jesus Christ. I think I cooked it too hard with my why not give up if this is true because he's not reading my comments. Yeah, I skipped to the bottom. You want me to go read your... I love the skits are honoring. If neo-Nazis didn't get to this man, we went first. So I'm supposed to read your bullshit. Okay. What didn't I read? Okay, so you said you could... I love the skits are honoring. I don't know what you're supposing that you read. Why not give up if this is true? Why would I give up if this is true? Because I believe in us. I think we can do it. It was biblical. I already said it was Roman history. The Bible is past tense. Everything in the Bible has supposedly already happened. The Bible, I compare it to the Princess Bride, and that we are watching as the old man is telling his kid or whoever a story. And that's what the Bible is. It's like us watching that movie. And every once in a while they break the story so that the old man can talk to the kid. And we see that in the Bible every time they refer to it as we. And, you know, the Bible is clearly Jews. It's a Jewish story. It's a Jewish narrative. It's an old Jewish man telling a story to his Jewish whoever. And he's talking about we. Broken, he's cooked, blah, blah. Dionysus didn't base his birth off anything, yet wise man calculated based on the stars. Like, see, I guess you're just dumber than me in that you believe that 525 people had access to computers or some shit. I don't know. What are you doing that's the best? Calling out you dumb Jews for a start. That's for damn sure. Plus the free download, www.the-builderg-group.com. But I do something that is so threatening to the system that instead of ignoring me, they bring all these dumb trolls in here to prove my point. They attempt to say things like you and whatnot, but they just prove my point. And if I wasn't right, if I wasn't telling the truth, why would there be so much energy put into trying to stop people from watching me and stop me from talking about it? What would it matter? If I would, like, how many times do you guys see some crazy guy rambling on the side of the road and you stop your car and you're like, hey, buddy, stop doing that. Stop what you're saying, dude. You can't say this. Or you get out and you make fun of him or whatever. Because, you know, I'm just the crazy guy rambling on the side of the street, right? Everything I'm saying is wrong. So if I'm just the crazy guy, why not just keep driving? Instead, you're going to sit there and sit from the sidelines talking shit, refusing to address anything said, and calling me crazy. Got it. That makes sense. You think we can do what? I think when we overthrow the Jews that control the narrative, anything's possible. Bro, if Jews have super science God powers, like you say, you literally can't win. We have numbers. Our numbers override everything. So if you know, like I always say, the women are the key. Women are the key. The wives, the mothers, the daughters, the sisters, you know, the girlfriends. They're the ones that can say to their military or police or whoever, husbands, relatives, whatever, we don't want you to put your weapons down. We need you to turn around, do a 180. You need to protect us. We support you and you need to protect us. Because when they send you, like if we're in New York and they send you over to California to go round up the families in California, well, the soldiers that grew up in California, they're over here in New York rounding up your family. We need the police. We need the... Why do you think YouTube allows so many First Amendment people to exist? Instead of shutting that whole thing down like they normally would, they instead let this First Amendment shit exist, creating this disdain for police, creating this discontent, this widening the gap between the people and the cops. Now, I definitely, like, I love the First Amendment auditors. Press NH Now, auditing Erie County. What's the one dude's name? I can't think. I watch a lot. James Freeman. I watch a lot of these guys. I think they do great work. But I can't help but wonder why it's allowed to exist. And I think it's because, again, it creates that narrative. And people need to understand that we need the police. The police need to understand that we need them and we support them and we appreciate them. They also need to follow the rules and they need to stop being tyrants, but they need to understand that we love them and we need them. And as they're doing their best to create these wedges, to drive these huge wedges between us and change the narrative, you know, we're falling for it. So yeah, we can win if we just get together and we do what we're supposed to do and we fight as we're supposed to fight.
Thank you.
You know, and we just be honest and you know, if again, the only thing that's happening here is a conversation where anybody and everybody has the ability, the opportunity, the platform to be able to prove me wrong and prove themselves right. So if anything that I'm saying is wrong, by all means, point it out. I'm not the type that blocks people or deny. Like I want to hear what people have to say. And if I don't read your comment and I pass your comment because I've skipped through a bunch of shit, and your comment really that important, type it again. The Anunnakis, nah, that shit's more do nonsense. The entire Nibiru, Anunnaki, all that bullshit, that's all Jew shit. Zechariah Sitchin was a Jew. The area they're talking about is Judea and all that. That's all, it's all the same bullshit. It's just their way of tricking you into falling for it again. Zechariah Sitchin is bullshit. Just a distraction to keep you from looking at the Jew control scheme. If they give you the answer, you're not going to ask the question. If before you address the thing, you've already denied it a bunch of times because, yeah, conspiracy theories are crazy, blah, blah, blah. And you've heard these conspiracy theories, and then eventually you sort of come around to it. You're already, you've already been manipulated. And they already know where you're going to go. That's why when you start looking up shit, you immediately get shown a Todd Church or an Alex Jones or some kind of stupid shit like that. Because they want that controlled opposition to get you while you're in this vulnerable state. We as humans want to belong to something. We want to be a part of something. Most of us are not leaders, we're followers. That's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. You follow the right thing, that's a great thing. You're a very important part of the thing if you follow the right thing. And most of us, we're not the type that are going to fight the fight, and that's okay. But to help those fighting the fight, if you do your part, that's really all that matters. The Sanskrit writings predate all that you're speaking. Yep. According to who? According to the Jews that control the narrative and their magical Scantron dating machine that can tell you how old the thing is. And you have to believe it, right? Because you don't actually have your own Scantron date machine. You just have to trust that the system is telling the truth. Sure it is. I'm not a Jew. Okay. Diddy Light. That's the best you can do. That's the best. And if you're a Christian, you're a Jew. You just don't realize it. I think it would be cool if Joe Rogan had you on his podcast for a chat. Wouldn't that be amazing? He'd never do it, though. You ever notice how for a long, long time, Joe Rogan made a lot of money off of Eric Dubay and the Flat Earth thing? Made T-shirts, had multiple episodes, multiple guests, had guests on specifically to debunk Dubay, but never once had Dubay on the show. Isn't that interesting? Why wasn't Joe allowed to have Dubay on the show? You think they'd ever let someone like me on there they would ever let me on there and allow for me to potentially influence anyone? The amount of people that would hear what I have to say, even with Joe desperately trying to shut me down, interrupting me and not letting me talk, whatever, I would reach a lot of people, and that would be extremely dangerous. They can't have that. And then Leonard German, although I was serious about your skit comic skills, like if you ever get over this point in your life, you do really, yeah, okay, that's what I should do. Once I get over the point in my life where I think genocide is horrible, I'll get to it. I know you can do anything. If you commit to a foot, blah, 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 blah. Dude paces his living room and back. Smoking. Okay, so dude paces his living room and smoking a bong. This guy thinks this is a bong, or that this is a bong, and he thinks I'm in my living room. Like, if everything you're saying is going to be stupid and wrong, don't say it, dude. Do a better job. Come on. With spice in it. And it has spice in it. I mean, literally. So what if that was true? If that was true, shouldn't you be able to do a better job of making me look foolish? Shouldn't you be able to make me stumble and stammer? Shouldn't you be able to pull that off every once in a while? Instead, you're just watching every day on my live. You're watching it every day. You are too so, where's Alameda too? Unify into a one world government. Absolutely. They've tricked you into believing the solutions are the problems. They have everybody thinking the one world government is a bad thing, like there isn't already a one world government. There's always been a one world government, long existing one world government. But you think there's not one. And thinking that if there was one, and that one world government focused on making everyone's life better, everyone having the same rights, the same freedoms. You can be born gay wherever you want and not have to worry about being killed. The standards, you know, you can't just dump your fucking chemicals into the ocean and shit like that just because you're this country or that. Yeah, that would be a terrible thing. Just like the one world religion where everybody believed in man and our capabilities instead of Sky Daddy. Instead of all the multiple Sky Daddies that everybody believes in. That's a better scenario. It's amazing how stupid people are. If I saw you, I would humor you, and I just don't have to here because you'll keep going anyway. I worked with the government enough to never trust them. Well, you shouldn't. But you say that, and then at the same time you do. You trust the government that submarines are real. You trust the government that the International Space Station is real. You trust the government that the James Webb is real, that your history is real, that your Jesus is real. Yeah. And if you say, oh, there's no government with the Jesus. Yeah, there is. Let somebody try to put together a relationship, or put together a religion and make their own new thing and not be L. Ron Hubbard, the science fiction writer. Violent criminals, bootlegger, your face would be perfect for me, but you manifesto as the Torah. It's the Talmud. The Torah is the book that they tell you to think it is. The Torah is Fight Club. One of the tenets of the Torah is you don't talk about the Torah, the Talmud, sorry. The Talmud is Fight Club. One of the tenets of the Talmud is that you don't talk about the Talmud. You tell the dumb goyim it's the Torah. But the Talmud's the one that says that they're allowed to sleep with a goyim as long as they're 3 years and 1 day old. Egyptian Freemason, Alabama, you beat up a Baptist preacher. Yep, I beat up a Baptist preacher. Tell them how the Baptists came to my house, driving through the neighborhood in their white van, going door to door, talking about, hey, we're here to pick up kids. We have a church down the road and we want to take your kids. Can we sign your kids? I know you've never met us before, never been to our church or anything like that, but we'd like to bring your kids to our church. That's fucking, that makes sense. And then when asked about his own Bible, he got scared and ran off because he couldn't say anything. What could he do? He couldn't defend the shit he believed in, which was sad. You know, it's not like I was talking about, he started saying I had demons. That was one of the funniest things. And then starts bumping into me as we're walking down the sidewalk. Because I was walking. They wanted to go door to door. I decided to go door to door as well. And then dude starts bumping into me. I'm like, dude, get up. Stop bumping into me. And just kind of get off me, dude. And that I beat him up. Oh, that's funny. My friend is Jewish. Does he personally have access to Jewish hive mind? Does he have to pass an initiation ritual? If he's Jewish, he's been through the ritual his whole life. Just because you're Jewish doesn't mean you get, like, you're not a part of it. You're more important at the end of the day than I am or any of us goyim are. But you can be low-level Jew and not really matter much. There's always that buffer. But I guarantee that piece of shit isn't out there condemning Israel. And if he is, the belief in the Jewish religion itself is just, it's like, if it wasn't Judaism, you'd have a problem with it. If somebody walked around thinking that they were chosen by God, that everybody, that they're better than everybody, and that everything that isn't them is goyim. So All of us, the dogs, the cats, the tables, the chairs, the cars, everything is goyim. Goy. They call us goy. And we're here for their disposal. We're here to be used and treated as they want to treat us, and then disposed of as necessary. When you believe that religion, like, that's disgusting. I don't support that in any way. I don't care what disguise you call it, what label you put those beliefs under. That's some disgusting shit that nobody should support. In a submarine, jet planes are not real. Neither. Okay, so this is like stupid shit. He says, "Is submarines are not real, then jet planes are not real neither." By that philosophy, God, is that stupid? That is, I mean, if you watch the beginning of this video, I show you a plane flying overhead. But these guys, like, this is the stupidity it took to make that sentence start to finish is the exact stupidity it takes to believe that. And that's something most of you just don't even bother to think about. You think traveling deep in water, hundreds of feet deep, 800 feet deep, is the same as flying in a plane? God, is that stupid? I'm guessing they aren't the proper kind of Jew. God of the Anunnaki Egyptians worshipped Anu. This dude knows zero history, lol. He thinks the wise men had computers. Guys, you're Christian. Do you guys hear this shit? Bro, it's boatmen, submarines. Aren't submarines older than planes? Technically, but not like not successful. Successful submarines don't really appear till around the same time, and then nuclear submarines appear in the 50s. They just appear. So. Oh, I'm scientist in NASA, says this guy. I'm scientist in NASA. I believe it. It's a good thing we people are sheep. Oof, advocating for government simping is wild. Yeah. They say that during the Revolutionary War, wooden submarines with pedals in them. They say that during the Revolutionary War, wooden submarines with pedals in them. No, they don't. That's right. I forgot about those two. You're talking so much about weird stuff. I always thought it was we the people, by the people, of the people, for the government. You're wrong. You need to get a hospital. You need to get a hospital membership. A hospital membership. What is that? Shut up, I'm told. I have to shut up. I should not be talking about these things. While you are Christian, while you are a Jew, who doesn't know it yet, is so based. Christianity is from Second Temple Judaism. It's what it is. What's your input on the Anunnakis? Dumb Jew fairy tale to keep you distracted, keep you from looking at them. IRS audits the people, but I believe it's time that the people should audit the IRS. Who the fuck is not letting you talk? Name them. Stop talking. Says the person right after that. You are a goofy person, says the person that watches me every day. Nobody needs to have a police state in no way, shape, or form. Well, I'm calling thugs on you. Why try to make you look foolish? You don't need help out. You don't need out help. I love when people say shit like that, like when they're talking about how stupid I am, and they say shit like that. Why try make you look foolish? You don't need out help. You losing Democrat. Yes, he's definitely a Fed. Who is preventing you from talking? That Trump is the king. We should embrace indifference and accept all aspects of opinions. Yes, but at the same time, we should eliminate the negative ones. Call them out for what they are and eliminate them. Yes, embrace the good things. Lots and lots of religions exist out there, lots and lots of beliefs, and all of those things have some good in them. So we should take all of the good things and eliminate the bad things. No one can save you but yourself. Bullshit. It absolutely takes a village. And we are all one big village. Whether, you've been tricked into believing that who people sleep with behind closed doors matters, what their skin color is, what sex they are, all that shit. What sky daddy they believe in. But we all need to be helping each other out, for sure. By the way, about my Jew friend again. Is he part of a hive mind? Is he yet to pass the initiation ritual? He was bar mitzvahed. Like, you don't know what a initiation ritual is? He was bar mitzvahed, you dumb shit. Good God. The government isn't telling me what's real when I've literally been on some of those vehicles. Yep, Fed simp. You've been on those vehicles. I love when people have ridden on boats and claim that they've been on submarines. I've been on a boat. It went across the water. It was docked in the harbor and I went all inside it and such. I was in it. Oh, eventually he's an adding good, keeping up. I've only read the Talmud, not the Torah. Where does it say that? I bet you've read that. Dislike superconductivity at room temperature ionic propulsion. I know that to be real because I experienced platforms that utilize non-fossil means of propulsion. I love when people act like they're like super smart or they're like, super professional. And they're one of a handful of people at this point that's on a random YouTube channel barely speaking properly. He wants us to go angry. See, I love when you see that in the First Amendment shit, and you see the cops be like, I know what you're doing. You're just trying to come here and get a rise out of people and so you can get something on your video. And it's like, well, if you think that's what I'm doing, then why would you do it? You dumbass. Like, why don't you not be that guy then? If I wasn't in the position I'm in, I would totally do that. But I can't do that. I can't physically go out there and handle all that. And, yeah, that would be too much on me. Which passage says it's okay to sleep with children? Name the dirty little... I have no idea. It's in there. I'll find it. I should find it and look it up. See, the problem with that stuff is it's super hard to find it because they scrub the shit out of it.
What's our excuse? How do we combat this guy? Stanley, how do we combat him? Okay, you know what? You clearly don't care, so why don't you just leave? I would like to stay. This pertains to me. Why don't you go outside and take a shot of insulin and have a nap, okay? Why do you
All right.
I don't know, your frame, your bill. Why don't you have a glass of
Reddit says, according to the Talmud, how old does a child have to be before a Jewish man can have sex with them? 3 years in 1 day or 9 years in 1 day? Even come and take note. According to Rabbi Joseph, MNID 5:4, come and take note. A girl 3 years and 1 day old is betrothed by intercourse, and if a Levir has had intercourse with her, he has acquainted her, and no one can be liable on her account because of the law prohibiting intercourse with a married woman, and she imparts uncleanliness to him who has intercourse with her when she is menstruating, to convey uncleanliness to the lower as to the upper layer of what lies beneath. If she was married to a priest, she may eat food in the status of the priestly rations. If one of those who are unfit for marriage with her had intercourse with her, he has rendered her unfit to marry into priesthood. If any of those who are forbidden in the Torah to have intercourse with her had intercourse with her, he is put to death on her account, but she is free of responsibility. Is that good enough?
Yeah, but I'm using my falsetto.
It's not a good idea.
Is that good enough? It's called breeding. Oh yeah, that's called breeding.
I just was hoping to maybe save your voice in case we.
And I agree, people do. And oh, the flat earther. Already said I don't believe in the ball earth theory. Sorry. Plane of existence. And I mean, the thing about the round earth and flat earth thing is it's 2024. It shouldn't even be an argument. It shouldn't be an argument. Like, it should be more than obvious, and there should be pictures that aren't NASA drawings, and there shouldn't be tons and tons of videos showing people that can see over the curvature. I just watched a video yesterday, or maybe today, of in New Zealand. There's a bay off of New Zealand where somebody was filming what was a bridge, a barge that was off the coastline 15 miles away. And they were filming it. And by the laws that exist and the fact that we live on this ball that's supposedly, they shouldn't have been able to see that. It should have been far over the curvature of the earth. But it was easily able to be seen. And you know, it just is what it is. It shouldn't be an argument, but are you a flat earther? No. Do I believe the earth is a round ball flying through space? No. Christ is Lord. Take care. Yep. Where is that found specifically? According to the rabbi, that was in MNID 5-4. I don't know what that is. I don't know their fucking shit. Made a decree. According to this, if the Jewish pedophile were to molest a 3-year-old one day, she is automatically married to him. Should a non-Jewish pedophile molest her, they are to be executed, and she shall never be permitted to marry into the priestly caste. Non-Jewish kids have it worse. According to Rabbi Naaman Bar Isaac, the Talmud took to considering all Gentiles unclean from birth. They made the decree that a Gentile child should be deemed unclean with the flux uncleanliness described in Lev 15, maybe Leviticus, so that an Israelite child should not hang around with him and commit pedestry as he does.
Listen, if anything else happens, just roll with it.
So that's like, this is all. I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, I'm reading you what I find when I look it up. Because it's the Jewish Talmud says a Jew may marry a 3-year-old girl. A Jew may have sex with a girl as long as the child is less than 9 years old. I mean, these are these are your arguments. And see, it's funny, the person that was like, where is this, blah, 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 when given the information, they go, ah, fuck that, I'm out of here. Because what are you going to do, defend the pedophilia? Go ahead. I highly encourage you to defend it, so we can out you for who you are. It shouldn't be an argument. It shouldn't be. It's 2024. It shouldn't be an argument. But just like the Talmud. I mean, the Talmud says it. I'm looking at the Talmud right now. Show the passage. I don't know the passage. The rabbi is quoted in this. And it's multiple things. Just Google it. According to the Talmud, listen to this. This guy is asking, like defending it, says, okay, so according to the rabbi, a girl of 3 years and 1 day old is betrothed by intercourse if a Levir has had intercourse with her, he has acquired her. So when a Jew has sex with a girl that's 3 years and 1 day old, she's automatically married to him. If a Gentile does it, he's to be killed. And no one can be liable on her account because of the law prohibiting intercourse with a married woman. And she imparts uncleanliness to him who has intercourse with her when she is menstruating, to convey uncleanliness to the lower as to the upper of what lies beneath. If she was married to a priest, she may eat food in the status of priestly rations. If one of those who are unfit for marriage
What's a priestly ration?
with her had intercourse with her, he has rendered her unfit to marry into priesthood. If any of those who are forbidden in the Torah to have intercourse with her had intercourse with her, he is put to death on her account, but she is free of responsibility.
What?
Show it. You think I'm making this up as I go? Show it. Show the thing. Yeah, I'm just making this up and repeating myself.
Why is the point not working?
I don't know. So it's a Reddit post. Do you want another example of it? Is that what it is? So the Reddit post isn't good enough. Jew in the City. Is jewinthecity.com good enough? Jewinthecity.com. Okay, so here you go. I saw statements circulating on social media that quote the Jewish Talmud saying Jews may have sex with a 3-year-old girl, a Jew may have sex with a child as long as the child is less than 9 years old, and when a grown-up man has intercourse with the little girl, it is nothing. Are these statements true? Sincerely, Abby. Thanks for your question. Before I answer it, let me say some news that you might not have seen. Did you know that for the first why is that happening? Why is this happening? Before I answer that question, let me share some news with you that you might not have seen. Did you know that for the first time, the number of unvaccinated people dying from COVID has exceeded the number of unvaccinated? The number of vaccinated people dying from COVID has exceeded the number of unvaccinated people. A person with an agenda would share that bit of information and scream the blah blah. Scream the proof. COVID vaccine alien.
Did you still need $10?
So context is everything, it says, yeah. That's what's going on here. For years, centuries, anti-Semites have been cherry-picking quotes from the Talmud and presenting them out of context. Do you hear what this is saying? There's no denial here. They're just denying our right to say it. By the way, there are 2 Talmuds, and they're both Jewish. Let's take the statement that if a girl has relations with, if a man has relations, then it's nothing. Sounds pretty evil, right? Well, let's put it in the context. There are certain laws that involve a woman's status of virginity, specifically the size of her dowry. What the Talmud in Kezubis is telling us is that if a man has relations with a girl sufficiently younger, namely up to 3 years old, it is not legally effective. In other words, it does not affect her status as a virgin, and she is still entitled to full dowry. That's not what it's saying at all. It's nothing is actually a ruling that benefits her. It benefits her. Oh my God. Oh my God. On a quick Google reference, I see that Yavat 57 in relation to what he's reading. Okay, there you go. The passage in the Talmud. There you go. You got an answer for it right there. Strong individuals do not allow themselves to be intimidated because the majority believes something is so. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Strong-minded individuals fall for shit all the time. That's why there are so many people with circumcised penises in this country. Their parents fell for it. The Talmud also discussed. Did you hear that? You didn't hear this. Okay, so what the Talmud in Kesubas is telling us is that if a man has relations with a girl sufficiently young, namely up to 3 years old, it is not legally effective, her dowry. In other words, it does not affect her status as a virgin and she is still entitled to the full dowry. It's nothing is actually a ruling that benefits her, it says. This Jew in the city just said that. Because I'm just cherry picking what I'm reading.
Under 3 years old?
No. Oh, God. That's disgusting, Angela. The fuck is wrong with you? No. 3 years in 1 day, you disgusting. God damn it. Ugh. Under 3 years old. Oh, my God. No, the Jews, that's a conspiracy theory. The Jews would never have sex with a girl that is under 3 years old. 3 years in 1 day. 3 years in 1 day. Now, don't mistake the Talmud saying if an adult man has relations with a very young girl with permission to do so. Because the quote is if an adult man has relations with a young girl, that's the quote, and then it says with permission to do so. It is merely saying what the legal upshot is should the situation occur, which sadly it has. But it benefits her though, right? See what I mean? This man could be a fucking comic legend. This guy thinks raping girls is funny. And you guys wonder who's trolling me. You guys wonder who's desperately trying to interfere with my feed. Gee, I wonder. Could it be the people that think it's okay to sleep with a girl as long as a child, as long as she's 3 years and 1 day old? Because that will benefit her. She will be entitled to her full dowry then. We also discussed what happens if a person commits manslaughter and what happens if one person shoves forbidden fats down another person's throats, among many other scenarios. That's not to permit all of these activities. It's just to discuss the consequences of various things that might happen or lack thereof. Do you not see how stupid these Jews are? This is what I'm always telling you. This is an article in a publication called Jew in the City, written by a Jew, published, blah, 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 all Jew, funded Jew. This was put out as this will explain it. Those dumb goyim, this will make them understand. Like they put this, and nobody made them put this out. They chose to, thinking that they would make it sound reasonable. If you're not on the side of we need to get rid of that shit after hearing this, I don't know what to tell you. Is anyone not here? Because I'm about 5 hours in the wind. This clown doesn't believe in nuclear. Isn't it funny? All of these people that aren't coming in and going, fucking hey man, yeah, these pedophiles are the worst. They need to go. I can't believe this. This is what it says. I can't believe blah, blah, blah. These are the same people that were going, where's the passage? Where's the passage? Where's the passage? Was given the passage, and now I'm reading you what the opinion is on it, and you're still going to be stupid, right? Who do you think is trolling me? Who do you think is not going to deny pedophilia and just sit and act like nothing's going on here? Do you not think it's these same fucking people? God, lately the plasma injection chamber project thousands of feet on women and more. Platform and this. See, isn't it funny again? You guys demand evidence for something. Now the evidence is here and you start talking about something else. More distraction. Isn't that interesting? You're probably assuming that the person who rapes a toddler does so with impunity, but such is not the case. Sexual assault is assault, for which there are penalties. We know that. It's a given. It's just not what the Talmud is discussing here, which is determining virginity vis-a-vis dowry. Oh my God. This guy thinks this makes it sound better. Similarly, the statement that it's permitted to have sex with a child under the age of 9 is out of context. This is from Sanhedrin 54b, and it refers specifically to a boy. In terms of efficiency of the sexual act, the boy up to age 9 is like a girl up to age 3. It's nothing in the sense that it does not count as sex in halacha. This doesn't mean that it's permitted, nor does it mean that there are no consequences. Again, it's still assault. It just means that for the purpose of halachos involving sex, it's not sex. Like the Talmud doesn't go, sex with children is specifically wrong and anybody that does it should be killed. That's not what the Talmud says. It talks about dowries and shit. Get the fuck out of here.
You can reference it right there.
I wouldn't know where to even begin. We've discussed child marriage in the past. The Torah grants a father the ability to marry off his minor daughter, but he's supposed to use the power only when necessary for the girl's protection or betterment. Even when the power was exercised, marriages weren't typically consummated until reaching the age of majority. It's really weird how they're dancing around this shit, isn't it? Nowadays, a father is prohibited from marrying off his daughter until she reaches the age of consent, and a man is prohibited from betrothing a minor, hilchos Izhuch 319. In fact, this was already prohibited in Talmudic times some 2,000 years ago in Kedusha in 41a. So yes, the Talmud says all those things and more. But a person can cherry pick quotes from any religion or politician or just about anything else. By presenting them out of context, it's easy to vilify heroes and lionize villains. The only way to be sure of the accuracy of what you're reading is to go to the source and get the full picture. Sincerely, Rabbi Jack Abrahamowitz, Douchebag Incorporated. Are you fucking kidding me? Remember, these are the people that cut and suck baby dicks. Baby penises, I should say, right? Because they're not dicks, they're penises. Like this is just like all religions, the rules change, blah blah blah, get into the good stuff. Yeah. He's right though, read it in context. Don't defend myself. I should read it in context. So it's saying that, if it does happen, it's okay, and it doesn't affect the dog. It actually benefits the girl if it happens, and and nowadays, well, assault is assault, so we go by that when we catch them and stuff. Because that shit never happens. Do you know how stupid you sound? And there are so many Hasidic Jews out there who live this life. Like right now. It's not a thing of the past. Humanity started at some point with fewer people. So, yeah, that's what it is. There were fewer people, so they had to fuck their children. Gotcha. I literally own both the Talmud, Quran, blah, blah, and other religions because I believe the word. Yep. Sure you do. It's so stupid. I love the idea of especially when it comes to Christians and shit. It'll be like, yeah, well, they have a bunch of good shit, love thy neighbor and love, be good to man. And yeah, you know, there's a lot of pedophilia that goes on with the church, but they also do a lot of good things. How come you never focus on the good things they do? Like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? You could do all the good things in the world. It's the idea of the moil, right? If somebody told me, look, guy, we're gonna give you we're gonna give you $50 million a year, right? We're gonna give you a huge platform where you can talk what you want, you can do your music, you can do whatever you need. www.the-bilderberg bilderberg free to download, go get it. You can do all that stuff. It's just once a year you got to perform circumcision and then suck on it to cauterize the wound. Sorry, wife. If I had the opportunity to give you the life of the wife of a man who makes $50 million a year and has all the power and prestige in the world, but I had to cut and suck a baby dick, I wouldn't do it. Sorry, I'm a bad person. Like when you know that exists, and you go, yeah, well, what about all the other stuff? Yeah, no. What about that? That disqualifies any other thing that's done in the name of whatever, whoever, whatever. When we're justifying and pedophilia, mutilation, and pedophilia, like, that's insane. And at the same time, we're doing a much, I can't even say worse, but I guess it is worse, different version to the Goyim around the world to mark ourselves as Jewish slaves. Like, it's insane when you know the history of circumcision, when you know they claim that circumcision is because of medical blah blah blah, yet that's in the United States. If it was a medical necessity or a medical good thing, it would be in Europe too. But in Europe, they say no. The negatives way outweigh the benefits. We don't do the circumcision route here, even though it's a medical thing, huh? I'm a scientist all right, dude. You would say I'm a NASA scientist if you were going to say anything. So next time, try saying that. I'm saying all the other stuff is more interesting because I'm anti-theist. And you're just repeating how I feel. I mean, I don't judge circumcision. Is that a big deal, even if it is stupid? Yeah, it's a huge deal. It's a huge fucking deal. It's mutilation. And when it's Goyim, when it's non-Jews, so the Jews wait 8 days. The child has experienced love, food, warmth, snuggles, laughter, light, dark, all different sensations the child has experienced. And if you look at a baby that's a week old compared to a baby that's hours old, it's drastically different. So the Jews wait 8 days to do it because, again, the vagina is unclean and they need 7 days for the baby to be clean again. So on the 8th day, they do it. With the Goyim, with us, within hours of being born, the baby is taken from their parents. They're barely here. They barely, like, they're just making the initial connections. They haven't experienced very much. They're taken to their incubator, and then they get taken to the operating room, where they're laid out in basically a crucifix position, and they're strapped down. Their arms are strapped and their legs are strapped. And they usually don't numb it. They say they do, but they don't. There's no anesthetic, nothing like that, because these are freshly born hours babies. You don't want to put drugs and shit in them. So they put this little bell thing over the penis and they spin it around and it has a blade that comes out and it cuts the foreskin off the penis. And the baby, when it happens, goes, ah, ah, and then just goes, because it goes into shock. And it doesn't know what the fuck is going on. It's literally just been born. And it goes into shock. And they take that in shock baby back to the incubator and they let it come out of the shock till then it's just exhausted from being in shock. And they bring it to the parents and they say, you know, oh, your little man, he's sleepy, he had a surgery. And you're like, oh, little, but that could be a half hour, an hour after the actual deed happened until the baby comes out of shock enough that they bring it to you. So maybe that's why the United States has the highest prison population, one of the highest rape cultures, a culture so obsessed with genitalia and mutilation and shit like that. Because within hours of being born, we mutilate our male children. We have a problem if the Wahhabi Islam people, they mutilate the little girls. They cut the little girls' clitorises off. We have a problem with that. But taking off the nerve endings and all the important things that are in the foreskin of the penis, essentially making it smaller, making it less effective with the women. Yeah, that's a good idea. It literally has no benefit to us whatsoever. All of the supposed benefits are bullshit. And then when you look at why we do it for real, it's because of the whole, like, your God, all of you Christians out there, you think your God gives a shit. Your God doesn't give a shit. Your God doesn't care how you treat your fellow man. Your God doesn't care how you treat your wife, how you treat your children. Your God doesn't care how you treat the planet. Whether you eat the animals you're not supposed to eat. You know, even though it says the animals are to be used for their toil, and the seeds and the fruits are, and the seeds and the grains are to be used for their meat. You eat meat anyway. That God doesn't even give a shit about that. God made a covenant with Abraham, the head Jew, the head person that all three Abrahamic religions are made of, or come from. He said he would never flood the earth again as long as we continue to as long as Jews continue to cut and suck baby penises. And then Jews circumcise their slaves as well. And as long as we do that, God will continue to show us rainbows, which are the guarantee that he's not going to flood the earth again. And so Abraham circumcises himself, which probably felt great. And then had all his 90-some slaves or whatever it was line up, and they all had to get circumcised. Can you imagine how much that felt good? Get circumcised and then go get back out to work in the field, slaves. Get circumcised by this fucking weird guy who's like, I talked to God. God said I gotta circumcise. I cut my penis. Now I gotta cut your penis. You're like, dude, I'm just your slave. You don't have to cut my penis. No, I do. God said so. He said he'd flood the world again if we don't. So literally, what God cares about is that that Jews continue to circumcise, and then that the rest of us mark ourselves as Jewish property, because that's what we do. Well, we don't do it. Usually a Jewish doctor is who does the circumcision anyway. But the Jews marking their property. That's what we are. We're Jewish property. That's our lifelong symbol that we're Jewish property. And circumcision is the most important tenet in Judaism. The number one mitzvah in Judaism is circumcision. Meaning, females are nothing. You guys are worth nothing more than making new penises. Whenever Jews talk about Jews are kicked out of 100 countries in the last 1,000 years, the most persecuted people, and we don't even know why. I watched this episode of Archie Bunker's Place where the synagogue supposedly got attacked. And the little girl asks the Jewish business partner, why did this happen? And he says, sweetheart, we've been asking that question for 5,000 years. I was like, didn't the Jesus thing happen 2,000 years ago? So why did people hate you for the 3,000 years prior to Jesus? Obviously, the Jesus story didn't help the situation, but they already hated you for 3,000 years for more than, double the Jesus story. So why did people hate you so much for such a long time? Oh, when you look at the story, it's because the insistence of cutting baby dicks and sucking baby dicks and wanting everybody else to do it too. That's literally the main reason for the reason Hanukkah is celebrated is to celebrate this revolt, the Maccabees revolt, where this one group, this one family finally decided that they were no longer going to play nice, and so they went around killing Jews that refused to be circumcised and continued to play along. So they would give them the option: either you're going to go and do what you're supposed to do and circumcise as we're supposed to, or we're going to kill you. And they killed a bunch of Jews until, they apparently, now this is where the story gets goofy. They're using Godspeed to go across the country all over. And somehow they're collecting all of these different small little Jewish families, and they eventually collect enough people to form the Maccabees revolution that was fighting for the right to circumcise. That was the thing. That was the whole reason behind it. And after the whole circumcision bullshit revolution, that took place during Hanukkah, and that's what Hanukkah is celebrating, is the Maccabee revolution. Like, it's the fucking weirdest bunch of shit. These narratives that we're given, well, that we're not necessarily given, that you can find. Because I don't think most people even understand the whole circumcision story. I don't think you've ever even heard it. I think you just do it because you're told it's medically necessary, and the Bible shit. And as my wife said, she didn't want our kids to be pariahs by having an uncircumcised penis in a world, in a society where circumcised penises are the norm. And I understand that to a degree, but it's not worth it. It's not worth the trauma. And if we had to do it today, that would be cause for divorce as far as I'm concerned. I would not be okay with mutilating my children, just like I wouldn't have been okay with vaccinating my children. Isn't it funny how none of these people are actually addressing any of the things that are being said? Isn't it crazy? And most importantly, none of these goofy commenters are talking about how disgusting circumcision and pedophilia is. The act of sucking on a so that's what happens to the goyim within hours of being born, right? The Jews, they wait till the 8th day, and now the kid has experienced all sorts of different things, mainly love, 8 days worth of love. Before you mutilate this child and put it through shock-causing trauma, you show this child love. They have a party. They have a party where the whole family and friends all come over. It's like this joyous occasion. It's supposed to be a joyous occasion. And everybody stands around while the mohel cuts and sucks the baby penis. And then they take the baby and they pass it around to the family. Now, again, instead of sitting in the thing, going through the shock, being alone, all that, at least the baby is surrounded by love. It's still a horrible, horrible fucking thing. But at least the baby's surrounded by love. The baby's 8 days old. You know, I can't really justify it any better, but that's fucking disgusting.
Fucking disgusting. So apparently there was a Christmas pro-Palestinian choir sues Detroit over alleged censorship at campus marches.
Yeah.
Park security silenced the choir's caroling calling for a ceasefire last holiday season, claiming their message was too controversial. Two members of an anti-war protest.
We have a constitutional right to protest. This is why I always tell you the
But they were
Constitution is
Christmas
bullshit.
caroling.
But that's when the Constitution is bullshit. Because whenever they actually want to, they will violate the Constitution to get their way. And this is a great example. You have a constitutional right to assemble and protest. And if your protest is singing songs, you're allowed to do that. And you don't need a permit or anything like that.
Two members of an anti-war protest group called the Detroit Ceasefire Choir have filed a federal lawsuit against the city of Detroit and the organizations managing Campus Martius Park, accusing them of violating their First Amendment rights. It announced that security guards at the park silenced the choir's pro-ceasefire caroling last holiday season, claiming the message was too controversial, and falsely asserting that Campus Martius is a private park. The choir members, represented by the Civil Rights Litigation Initiative,
falsely asserting that the place was a private park.
At the University of Michigan Law School, argue that their peaceful protest was fully compliant with the city's free speech ordinances, which explicitly allow small demonstrations in public spaces without requiring a permit. Our choir went to Campus Martius to call for a ceasefire in Gaza by singing carols. How can citizens advocating for peace and liberation be asked to leave a public park when they are complying with the city's policies that protect free speech? And it's all because, to sing for peace in the Middle East, a ceasefire in Gaza, and an end to Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. The choir carried signs reading peace and joy.
But the Jews that control the narrative,
love thy neighbor. Nothing bad.
The Jews that control the narrative, they know that leads to me. That leads to somebody looking into it and going, okay, so wait, what's going? And what they don't realize, because they're so stupid, is what this should do is make people go, wait, why?
Security personnel also reportedly told the protesters that Campus Martius was private property, a claim the plaintiffs say is demonstrably false. The park is regularly celebrated by the city as a public square, most recently earning the title of top public square in the U.S. by USA Today. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, not surprising at all. See, what people don't understand is the capabilities like the Jews they're not superior in any way whatsoever. Not physically, not mentally, they're not smarter, none of that.
Our democracy
The only thing they're better than us in is the fact that they're more ruthless. They're more willing to openly do shit like this and be like, who are you gonna call? All the lawyers are Jews. Who are you gonna call? Who are you gonna get? All the judges are Jews. What do you do?
The Detroit Ceasefire Choir describes its mission as an interfaith effort to promote peace, justice, and equality. Members say they plan to continue their advocacy, including singing protest carols at Campus Martius this holiday season. Our democracy depends on the ability of all people to speak freely in the public square about matters of public concern, including a ceasefire in Gaza, a student attorney said. Given Detroit's free speech ordinances allowing small demonstrations in Campus Martius without a permit, it's disheartening that security guards continue to unlawfully censor protest. While the lawsuit has been filed, the city has not yet been served and cannot comment on the pending litigation. That's fucked up. Can you roll me a couple? I gotta leave.
I mean, again, when I tell you the Samantha Wool story, what can you say? So, as crazy as the Samantha Wool story is, right, and all of the fucked up details start to finish, there's only one aspect of it that I want you guys to focus on. And this, to me, is when we're talking conspiracy theory, this take the cake, right? So, Samantha Wool was killed on October 21st, 2023. You need to go to the store. On October 22nd, 2023, the newspaper reported on how beautiful the funeral was, that over 1,000 people attended yesterday. They don't actually say it, but they're telling you that the funeral, this chick died at supposedly like 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning, something like that. And that her funeral was held within hours, and that 1,000 people dropped what they're doing, and that all of her relatives and everybody just had they couldn't. It wasn't even a 24-hour period. It was. How is that possible? Please tell me how something is possible that fits that narrative. Do you guys understand that the Jews will lie to you? Explain the story. I always try to talk about Hai Shalain, Hai, capital Shaulain, was supposedly the number one protester, like the number one thorn in the side protester in Israel against mask regulations, vaccine regulations, everything that had to do with COVID and all that. He was against it. And he was supposedly picked up at an anti-mask rally. 2 days later, he was taken to a hospital with COVID, which actually turned out to be super COVID, because 7 days later, he released a statement saying that, now, mind you, this is a man who's in the hospital and supposedly under arrest, somehow releases a statement saying that he's in the hospital and that with some prayer and good medicine, he should be better within 2 to 3 weeks. But if he dies, it's because he was poisoned. He believed the police poisoned him. Now, the first thing he said was that he was so sick he couldn't respond. He couldn't talk or respond to messages. So, not really sure how that works. Plus, again, he was supposedly in jail. So, I don't know why he would have had access to some sort of social media, but he did. And so 7 days later, he releases that statement. The next day, he supposedly dies. The next day is his funeral. And shortly after that, the story disappears. Or right then, the story disappears. None of his family members, none of his circle. He's supposedly the number one truther guy, but none of his people are demanding any sort of investigation into his claim that he was poisoned. Nobody else that was at this no mask rally that he was at ended up admitting themselves to the hospital 2 days after the thing and then dying 8 days later of super COVID. I don't know if too many people that actually had super COVID like that died in 10 days. Well, 8 days. But even more so, if you go try to look, you would think, okay, he's the number one protester guy, right? There should be some sort of story about him, don't you think? Don't you think there'd be some sort of narrative that he had social media pages, anything that showed this guy existed prior to this story taking place? Nope. Why? Because Israel fucking lies. It was just a lie. It was just a bullshit story. There was a story that happened either early 2023 or late 2022. They claimed that two Palestinian gunmen opened fire on a gas station, killing 4 people. 2 of those people were girls in their 20s or maybe late teens, both of which were buried, had a funeral and were buried within an hour or 2 of being killed. And then a rampage was then initiated by the settlers, which is when a big group of them like basically walks in a line and lights things on fire and beats people up and just, they just destroy a whole bunch of shit while they have the IDF, the Israeli military, behind them, protecting them and arresting anybody that fights back. It's called a rampage. It's what they do whenever they're upset. But that all happened within hours of being killed. They supposedly had a funeral and buried this chick within, again, like an hour or 2. And what you always see with these Israeli situations is the amount of people that die are people that could maybe be in a car accident. You had a bad car accident where 4 people were killed. We'll hurry up and stage it and then say it was some Palestinian gunmen that killed them. And then bury the bodies and shit so nobody can see them. The synagogue shooting that happened here in the States that was supposedly carried out by Robert Bowers Jr., who, again, no social media history. He just sort of, the shooting happens in like April of 2018, and he just appears on Gob, not even social media, but Gob, in early in January of 2018, talking, oh, the Jews, oh, I don't like the Jews, and posting pictures of guns and crazy shit. And you would think, like, if the system knows that Gob is this platform for white supremacists and terrorist activities, they would be monitoring someone that's saying all these things and then posting pictures of Jews, or then posting pictures of guns. But they didn't. And this guy supposedly then went and he went to this synagogue on a Sunday, which weird because they don't do their thing on Sunday. But he went to the synagogue, kicked in the door. The very first responder said it was weird. It looked like the first 6 or 7 people all were in a row when they got shot, and they just lay down in a perfectly straight row. Almost like they were dragged right there, but no, that's not what happened. It wasn't almost like a staged scene, but that's not what happened. He supposedly kicks in the thing, shoots all these people, blah, 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 like 12 people or some shit. He, all of them old. If it weren't for the 2 retarded brothers who were like 59 and 61, whose parents had just died, so they had just become a ward of the state, the average age would have been like 80 of everyone that died. So this guy that wanted to cause all this terror went to a synagogue and killed the oldest people he could find. Left all the youngsters alone. But he does this shooting. He has this shootout with the cops. Oh, like I said, so the average age would have been like 80, but it was because of those 2, the average age of the people died in that was only like 70 or some shit like that. But it was because those 2 retarded brothers brought it down. And go figure, those were the 2 youngest people killed. Go figure. But he then supposedly has a shootout with the cops where he's hit in the leg. He's then taken by police where he's just yelling nothing but anti-Jewish stuff the whole time, yelling it, taken to the hospital where, again, he's just yelling and yelling, treated for his injuries, taken from the hospital directly to a court where he's sentenced to never be interviewed ever again, I guess, whatever. Like, it's funny how to this day we still talk about Jack the Ripper or Manson. Manson never killed a single person, and Manson's like the most like famous killer ever, John Wayne Gacy, these people of the past that are still talked about. But we have this guy who supposedly did the shooting, and nobody ever wants to interview him at all. Nobody ever wants to talk to him. Nobody wants to know what's going on. And he's just been locked away. Nobody, and the funny thing is, of all that time, with all that screaming that he was doing and all those, there's not a single bit of footage. The only footage you saw was like from blocks away, where you supposedly where every once in a while you'd see like soldiers go march in front of the camera, or there'd be an interview, and you'd hear what sounded like firecrackers in the background. But that was all. That's all. There was literally no footage of any of it. All this struggle, all this yelling, all this shit he did. Nope, nothing. And then 6 months to the day later, James T. Ernest supposedly attacks a synagogue in California, where he kicks in a door with this. He has, for some reason, he has this AR fucking super badass weapon. Kicks in the door, shoots one woman. He goes to shoot. The narrative is that he goes to shoot other people, and the rabbi grabbed a gun with his hand, and he pulled the trigger and shot off his finger. Shot his finger off. And so then the kid like retreated a little bit. Somebody in the stands had a gun and started shooting. So as the kid went to go shoot some more, the gun jammed. So he ran out. And as the shooting's taking place, the rabbi who just had his finger shot off said he, quote, was carrying children out of there. He was carrying more than one child, apparently, with his finger shot off. And you know this because he was interviewed hours later, where he had this blue and white cast on, and he's raising his hand up and like, dude, if your finger got shot off, your arm is going to be so, I don't know if you've ever had surgery on a hand, on a wrist, on a whatever, but your whole arm is numb. And it's like a floppy thing you can't control. You're not going to be raising it up and talking about, blah, blah, blah. A little girl supposedly got hit with shrapnel in the face. They interviewed her the next day. Well, it had already healed up. There were no more, you couldn't see any of the scars. But yeah, and then you could hear her statement about, and why can't we just live in peace? And you could tell she was like, she was speaking this rehearsed statement. But John T. Ernest, he escaped, drove down the road, called the police, pulled over, let them take him in, and haven't heard from him since. Nobody wants to interview him at all. Nobody wants to know what was going on. What were you thinking? Nothing like that. These supposed shooters, 2018, when the Jewish people are the most persecuted people in the whole world. If anybody wants to tell me what stories I'm wrong about, I'd love to know. As a kid in my high school shop class lost his finger on the bandsaw. Yeah, and I guarantee later on that day, he wasn't like, yay. But that dude probably had some sort of surgery already planned. That wasn't real. If you don't get your finger shot off by an AR-15 or whatever it is, and it tears up, the amount of impact from that tears apart your whole hand. It doesn't just sever your finger cleanly. You don't just get a quick little surgery and everything's fine. Like, it's all just these dumbass narratives that they give us that are so clearly untrue. They're just not true. People have forgotten just how many of those dumb shooting things were taking place back during the Trump presidency. And, don't worry, you're going to start seeing it again. And it's not because the people are this and that. It's because the government needs distractions. And every time they're doing something that we should be paying attention to, and we're not, like the Abraham Accords, they do these dumb shootings and distract the people. So we're much more focused on these traumatic events that are taking place, as we obviously should be and would be.
We were supposed to get married exactly 3 months ago.
But nobody talks about the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords cost the United States so much fucking money,
No.
and we get zero benefit from it.
Grand right up I-65 Chicago.
Zero.
So
We get no benefit from the Abraham Accords whatsoever. We pay for it. We pay for the Jews to be able to go to and from whatever countries they want. Literally with money and planes and all kinds of shit. But we get nothing out of it. And it costs billions and billions of dollars. And what do you think about his ear? I think that's if Trump really got shot, where are all of the cell phone videos and live feeds?
Why doesn't he have a big old scar? Why can't you see? Or does he flop this rug over it now?
I don't know. I don't. All of that stuff is stuff it's like I can't. There's things I can't prove or whatever. I don't have access to it. I don't have access to his ear and can't see it all. What I can say is that, according to Trump, there were tens of thousands of people at the rally. There should be an endless supply of live feeds and videos from the exact moment in every different angle of the shooting, from behind him in multiple different ways, all in front, everything. Everything should be filmed from everywhere. And there's nothing. There's like the one video that shows the shooter, it's from up and behind Trump's left side, and it supposedly shows the shooter's head at the top of the building. Then it disappears behind another rooftop. Then it comes back into frame, and supposedly the shooting starts, but the video ends just before the shooting starts for some reason. And then there's red shirt guy who nobody's talking about. The guy named, he said, I'm just going to go by Joseph. And he was interviewed by the news afterward, and he did this really long interview. And he said that without a doubt, he knew that the shots came from the Trump's far left. And that the guy that got killed, he was in between the shooter and Trump, and he saw that guy's head explode. He saw that the bullet came in from the back and exploded out the front. He knows what that looks like. I guess he worked in the medical field or some kind of shit like that. But he said he knew what to look for. He said 100% without a doubt the shots came from behind, blah, 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 blah. Yet according to the narrative, the shots came from Trump's, immediate right front. So somehow, even though the shots came from his right front, Trump turned his head. He had his head turned and was facing down to the right. So I'm not really sure how that bullet would have not gone through his head instead of hitting his ear, clipping his ear. But he then falls down, does the quick blade job, WWE style, of which he was a part of for a long time, and has Linda McMahon as one of his advisors. He falls down. Suddenly there's women Secret Servicemen for some reason. And when they allow this man to stand up, now remember, none of the people behind him react like, holy shit, there's a gunman. There could be more than one gunman. Let's get down. Let's hide. They don't know what's going on, but everybody just sort of chills out.
Yeah.
And then not knowing whether there's an explosive, not knowing whether there's multiple gunmen or anything like that, they allow Trump to stand up. And it just so happened to work out that a short female is standing right in front of him while two tall males are standing on either side. So it's like a frame where he can then yell, fight, fight. And he's not bleeding anymore. It's now just sort of smeared on his face. And yet they don't know if there's another shooter or anything. And so then they whisk him off to the car that's waiting and shove him in. And as they shove him in, the one female there's now a different female, the short, fat little one with the curly hair, she has her gun, and she's standing there like, what do I do? What do I do? She goes to try to put it in her holster, and she can't put it in her holster. So then she just stands there for a second, and then the camera cuts. That's a Secret Service person, can't holster their weapon. Female. I'm a potential president. He's like 6'2" or whatever they say, 6 foot. And I'm gonna have little bitty females who can't even holster weapons as my Secret Service. The first thing you hear in the mic is, where's my shoe? I didn't hear that. But then the thing is, everything afterward doesn't make any sense either. The father's not gonna say anything until he talks to the police first. Everybody, all the victims, all the people that were either injured or the family members of the people killed or whatever, every single one of them is tight-lipped. Nobody's talking about anything. Nobody's doing any interviews. Nothing. Nobody's saying anything. They then have that bullshit Republican National Convention where Trump's going to accept nomination, and he says, okay, well, I'm going to tell this story one time and one time only. Why? Because he can't remember the details right. And he knows if he tries saying it again, he'll get it wrong and he'll look stupid. So he says he's not going to do it. And they have they have the dude that was killed, his fireman's jacket and hat on the stage, in which Trump walks over and kisses it like a dumbass. It's his jacket, but yet the name is spelled wrong. And they go, oh, we fucked up. His name is such a long name, we couldn't fit the right spelling. And that wasn't it. They put the wrong vowel in. Where it was supposed to be an E, they put in an A. So it had enough room. They just spelled it wrong. But that was his jacket, right? Like, the whole story is just bullshit. And more than anything, where the fuck are all the cell phone videos? It's 2024. People walk around with 2 cell phones. People walk around with rigs, the whole cell phone rig that they can make sure the video's staying, stable, and all the First Amendment auditors. And there had to be just thousands and thousands of cameras, cell phones, recording at that time from every angle. There should be a camera angle that gets slowed down to a half a speed per second or whatever, half a frame per second, where you can see that Trump's ear gets hit and then a little puff of mist comes up, and we should be able to see all that shit. But he turned his head, and I guess there was no other cameras from that angle, or like, do you not get how fucking stupid that is? The kid, the goddamn shooter, his name is Crooks, Thomas Matthew Crooks or whatever. Crooks, really? And this kid is 21 years old and has zero social media footprint whatsoever. No Facebook, no Instagram, no nothing like that. He just doesn't exist. Although he's a registered Republican, but he donated to the Democrats and blah, blah, like that kind of stupid shit. Just another one of these kids that looks the same. The only picture they have of him is some dumb young high school picture. Apparently he doesn't look anything like that at the time of death. But it almost looks like one of those AI-generated average white guy pictures that they always use. He's got the square glasses, and he's got the short hair, and he's ugly kid, white kid, goof. Like, it just fits. Insert Nixon crook jokes here. that there's a completely different shift in the reality from when they absolutely controlled the narrative start to finish because they controlled all the media and they, all of that, to now where we have the internet and we can communicate with each other independently. Like, shit like Watergate and stuff like that, that just would get blown the fuck open so big. Like nowadays they couldn't control it like they did. Or even the Franklin cover up. They wouldn't be able to keep the Franklin cover up quiet like they did in the 80s. And for those that don't know, that's the 80s version of Pizzagate. You should look it up. The Franklin cover up. Fully vetted and exposed by Ted Gunderson, who was a former FBI chief. Can't get much more official than that. You ever listen to Immortal Technique? I don't listen to him, but I know Immortal Technique should be one of the greatest rappers ever, longest, one of the most he should be one of the most revered, successful rappers ever. But for some strange reason, he hasn't been allowed to have the career he should. Everybody will tell you he's one of the best rappers, if not he's not Eminem, but he's right there. Best rappers of all time. And for some strange reason, he doesn't have the Jew-made career. Why do you think? It's because he's openly talked about it, and he's openly said shit he wasn't supposed to say. You guys should check out the Bilderberg group. www.the-bilderberg, BILDERBERG-group.com. The link will be in the description. Now that's some music that you've never heard anything like before, and some of you will like it, some of you won't, but I think it's awesome. He has a song about the media called Fourth Branch of the Government. Yeah, I mean, it's fourth branch of the government. I always call it East Coast Hollywood. Same thing. Once you start learning about the production codes of the 30s and, just the whole thing. Like, I think MK Ultra's greatest achievement was convincing people that MK Ultra was disbanded. And that, people don't realize that shit like nigger, like the idea that you can have a word said to you and you'll do shit that you normally wouldn't do. Like you get a phone that's what MK Ultra sort of symbolizes, right? You get this phone call and somebody says a phrase, the ducks fly on Tuesday to the west in the sun with the east and blah blah, and it's this phrase that nobody would say to you, so it triggers this thing in your head and you turn into this Sirhan zombie and go kill Bobby Kennedy, something like that, And they have us convinced that they disbanded that. But if you look at what the word nigger represents, right? Nigger is exactly that. If somebody says the word nigger, black people have been conditioned to commit crime over that. A stranger can say the word nigger, and black people feel like it's a requirement that they then commit a crime of assault, putting themselves in jail, their families in peril, all this other shit, because somebody said a word they didn't like. If that's not MK Ultra, I don't know what is. And it's all about that, the whole PC movement. The biggest beneficiaries of the PC movement are the Jews. They're the only ones that have been completely insulated. Yes, women's lives have gotten better. Yes, gays' lives have gotten better. Yes, people of color's lives have gotten better. But they're not nearly as line in the sand sort of permanent as the Jews are. The Jews are so insulated that we won't even talk about them in a good way. We just don't talk. We just think, I say the word Jew and people go, oh, you shouldn't say that. That's how well they've insulated themselves. But then through the media, like when people get mad and they say, oh, well, why do black people only make such shitty black people music? Nigga kill, nigga shoot, shoot. Why do black people only make that kind of music? Because that's the only music black people are allowed to make. The Jews that control the record companies like Interscope, like Jimmy Iovine and Jerry Heller at the time, they created the greatest boy band ever. NWA. NWA is a boy band. It's all they were, just a hardcore boy band. And they were given the green light. They were given carte blanche. They were allowed to ride, you know, as all these white kids and black kids were getting home from school and turning on Yo M. This is 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and it's allowed to be there. NWA, Niggas with Attitude, released their album on 8/8/88. It's all just coincidence. This fucking manufactured boy band, right when black music and black culture was getting to this like peak, right? You had this idea of like, you know, Malcolm X, Black Power, Know Your Roots, Cross Colors, and all this shit that was happening. Will Smith was making all these great dance songs, and it didn't have to be, like he says, it didn't have to be all about killing. And then, like overnight, it was like a switch flipped, and they changed everything in the black community. Suddenly, all of the only people you see, the only ones that are cool, are the ones that talk about selling drugs and rapping and about killing people and doing all these things that if you do them, you're going to go to prison. And at the same time, in the white neighborhoods with the white kids and the white music, they took it from rock and roll, from hey, you know, get drunk, maybe do a little cocaine and smash up your room, or, you know, bang chicks and make a lot of loud ass music and all this, to heroin. Do heroin and talk about wanting to kill yourself. Nirvana and all of a sudden, just overnight, same exact time. They just switched it. It was like they weaponized it all at one shot. And it went from, you know, good time music, have like same black people was good times, know your history, have fun, dance, to gangsters, kill, shoot, you know, drugs, kill bitches, hoes, treat women like absolute shit. And with women, it's all about their butts, you know, where the poop comes from. Sag your pants, you know, like they do in prison to let them know that they're gay. All these gay guys pretending to be these thug rappers like Tupac, like Lassane Parrish. Go look at fucking interviews with a young Lassane Parrish. You tell me that's a thug. When he's interviewed while he's in dance school, while he's in liberal arts school, and he's a dance major with Jada Pinkett and all them. That's not a thug. That's Lassane Parrish. That's a manufactured, you know, that's a manufactured thing. He wasn't killed. He was just retired. He was just taken out. It's all just stupid. Who's your biggest musical inspiration? I don't know. Weirdly enough, probably, but all of it, man. It's all. There's not one. It's just all of it. I like everything. Even some of the mumble rap songs, you hear them enough times, they make you dance a little, but it's all the same shit. I mean, I think E40 is amazing. I think Eminem's the greatest, you know, of all time, but Revival is one of the greatest pieces of art ever created. And it's supposedly like a flop album, and it's the time when he was awake. And he made a lot of songs that he sort of said some things that, like, it wasn't full on like him just going out, but he did say things he doesn't normally say, and supposedly that wasn't popular enough. But like I can't imagine if Eminem just told the truth. That would be phenomenal. I'd love to see that. But like E40 is great. E40 is one of my favorite rappers of all time. What does he say? Nothing. Just nothing. It's just stupid shit. Drugs, bitches, you know, cars, whatever. It's all stupid. That's why you should check out TBG, Bilderberg Group. That's something completely different, and that'll blow your socks off. That's probably a good segue into why I should leave. You guys, can't believe I did this for this long again. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day, as always, and pedophiles, make sure you kill yourself.